welcome in to the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, right around this time, 12 o'clock. Sometimes it's 12:10, like it is today. Hey, welcome. What is this show? This show is a nonstop stream of consciousness. It's just me. I'm just a regular guy. I'm just a middle-aged, narcissistic, unemployed blowhard who is going to spend the next couple of hours just ranting about all the day's news. We do the show in 4 parts, 4 segments, quarters, really. It's what we call them. First quarter is a thing we call antecedently on this day. This is where I just run through all of the events that have occurred on this day in history, and I rant on those. Quarter 2, birthdays. We know what that is. Quarter 3, deads. These are people who died on this day. This is where I, again, cherry pick from history, a bunch of people who died on this day, and we look at their lives. And we decide, did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? That's quarter 3. Quarter 4 of the rant, that's all the day's stuff. That's today's breaking news, the headlines, the trends, hot topics, whatever it is people are talking about today. Oh, and we got good stuff too for you today. We certainly do. So stay tuned. At some point today, you know what we're going to watch? I don't know if you guys have seen this before, because I certainly hadn't seen it before last night, but I found it last night. It is the entire oughta interview. Context. You get complete context on everything that's going on. And more to the point, we get to see a little bit more of oughta girl. We get, you know how, look, I am not good at anything. I am not tremendously gifted in any important area that it could be for a human. I'm not Roger Clemens. I wasn't born with lightning in my arm. Wasn't gifted that way. There are a couple of things I'm good at. Mini golf, very good at mini golf. And judging people. I am a good judge of character. So what the extended oughta video allows us to do is judge our character a little bit more. Let's see what was going on. So that'll be interesting. Also, big breaking news in the world of oughta girl. We'll get to that. Big breaking news. In addition, start calling her Haley. I don't want to call her Haley Welch. Haley Welch is her name. I want her to always be oughta girl. All right. She is maintaining the phenomena status that she emerged into just a couple of days ago. It's picking up steam too. Let's say hi to the chat room. We do have an active chat room. If you're somebody who likes to hang out with a bunch of strangers and talk about the day's hot topics and current events, well, the chat room ain't for you, because that's not what happens there. I don't know. Chat room, you know what I like about the chat room? The chat room is like a giant bus. It's like a big bus load of people. And they're on their way to, like, I don't know, let's say summer camp. This is the chat room. This is how I see it. And in this bus, everybody's being forced to listen to this show. That's it. You're being forced to listen. You're not active participant. You're just there. You're on the bus. Something better is probably coming. Well, summer camp. You're going to get to summer camp. The bus ride is part of it. But you're all on the bus. You're all listening to the show. Some of you are talking about other shit. Half of you ain't paying attention. That's totally fine. I am just happy to provide the transportation for the middle of your day. I'm not picky about this stuff. All right, what else? What else do I got to get into? This is the small. It's hot. It is hot. Very hot. Very, very hot. But that's okay. We shall overcome, because, folks, it's only the 26th day of June. That's right. The 26th day of June. There's 178 days left in the year. There were 177 days already gone. I read it out of context because I was trying to jump back into the show. All right, basically 188 days remaining until the I gotta reset. 188 days remaining. I need to reset, folks. Hold on. I'm a little distracted. Hey, you want to hear something cool that I did with my dog? Sure you do. Why not? So my dog's stomach's been making a lot of noises, and it's really distracting. It's bad. She's a big dog, and she's got a big belly, and when she's laying there and it's going, glug, 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 you know that? And it just keeps happening. And it keeps me on edge. I can't relax because I keep thinking, oh, geez, is she about to, have diarrhea all over the place? Do I need to walk her? But, she doesn't seem to want to go out or anything. She's just laying there. So I thought, you know what she needs? She needs a Tums. Because do you remember the other day I was talking about the 2 products? There's only 2 products that I know of that actually work. Tums is one of them. Stay tuned for the other. Tums is one of them. Product that only works. The promise of Tums, it does exactly what the promise is. And so I thought, I'm going to give this dog a Tums and see what happens. I gave the dog a Tums. She turned her nose up at it. She didn't want it. She's like, that thing dogs do, over there. They come real close like they're smelling. And then they go. And they pull away. And you're like, oh, really? Not good enough for you. She does that. I've seen her do that with broccoli, and now I've seen her do it with a peppermint Tums. Something that I knew that she wouldn't turn away was a chocolate chip cookie. So I took a big chocolate chip cookie. It's sort of a soft one, so you can mash it together. And I just kind of stuck in the middle, and I made a cookie ball for her, and she ate it. She ate the Tums. She ate Tums wrapped inside the chocolate chip cookie, but she still ate Tums. The Tums is in her belly. Her belly hasn't made a noise in 3 hours. Why? Because Tums work. Tums work on humans. Tums work on dogs. Anyway. All right, let's get into the show. No. You know what we need to do first? There we go. Thank you for reminding me. We, as a show, we run on tips. We've been doing it for 3 years. That's right. This show's been on the air for 3 years, every day, Monday through Friday, a different kind of talk radio. We run on tips. So if you're so inclined, you want to drop something in the Venmo, you want to drop something in the Cash App, that would be great. Thank you so much. You people, you keep us flowing. Coming up on another end of the month, beginning of the new month. Anyway, everybody who tips is considered an associate of the show. However, the big tipper of the day, they get the distinction of being what's known around these parts as the executive producer. Today's executive producer, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Peter's the exec producer of today's show because he was the biggest tipper yesterday. Thank you so much, Peter. We appreciate it. Peter, longtime supporter. Longtime supporter of the show. Adam says, yeah, but Tums causes acids to be dispersed, and that often happens as burps and farts. I'd be afraid she'd throw up or shit lava. Nope, she's good. Tums are amazing. Got heartburn? What's better? Your stomach hurt right now? You need it to stop right now? Have a Tums. I don't give a shit about, what. I don't care. In the minute my stomach hurts, and you take a Tums. By the way, the show is not endorsed by Tums. I don't make any money off Tums. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't be saying Tums because I don't even buy Tums. You know what I buy? I buy the Dollar Tree version of Tums. That's the shit that works. I don't know from real Tums. Brand names probably works. Don't know. Haven't used anything but the Dollar Tree version in about 30 years. So the Dollar Tree Tums, they work. All right, let's get into the first segment of today's show. We call it Antecedently on This Day. It's Q1, Antecedently on This Day. I'll look back at all the events, history. On this day, antecedently in the year 1906, the very first Grand Prix motor race is held in Le Mans. I got nothing else on that. I just like car racing. I don't have any thoughts. Don't know who won. Yeah, can't really. Antecedently on this day in the year 1927, the Cyclone roller coaster, the first roller coaster, opens in Coney Island. Cyclone. First roller coaster. Boy, think about that. 1927, the first roller coaster. The first rolly coaster, as they probably called it there in Coney Island. Oh, geez, the dog is making noise. As I say, that had to have been like something so high tech and so like, wow. Because, just because we're blown away with every new function that we get with the next, iPhone or whatever, that doesn't mean that other generations weren't equally blown away by shit that we just totally take for granted. I bet the first roller coaster on this day in 1927 blew people's minds. Nobody had gone, think about it, nobody had gone that fast. I mean, I don't know what that roller coaster was like. I imagine it was a couple hills. I don't think it had loop-de-loops or, anything like that. But as a matter of fact, I'm certain it didn't. But still, when before the first roller coaster, the first people to ride a roller coaster on this day in 1927, when in human history had the human body experienced that? And by that, I mean those G's, that speed, that I'm telling you, they must have had their minds blown. It's probably no seatbelts. They didn't know. They didn't know. This is why I never be the first. I tell you something, I sure as shit wouldn't be the first to ride the roller coaster. These people, that's the other thing we should address. These people that were on this first roller coaster ride at Coney Island, these people were nuts. These people had no fear. Antecedently on this day in the year 1934, the United States President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he signed the Federal Credit Union Act, which established the credit unions here in this country. The credit union. Should all go back to the credit union system. That's what I'm saying. Keep the money local. Keep the money in the company or whatever. Well, whatever. I'm telling you. You don't see much from the credit union industry anymore. Has the credit union, have they all been sucked up by big bank? By big toaster, big free toaster giveaway? I don't know. Anyway, moving on, antecedently on this day in the year, what year are we going to go with? 1945, the United Nations Charter is signed. 50 allied nations. You know where the original, the original, look, I don't want to say that, we continue to lean into what's most convenient for the white European male. But originally, there were a number of locations that were thought of for the United Nations. We know that the United Nations is now in New York City, but there were a number of locations, like some of them that were pitched to San Francisco, right here, where the original, core meetings were taking place. San Francisco was thought to be a great place, but guess what? That was only convenient for Asian nation members. That was not convenient if you were coming from Europe. That kind of sucked. Like, what's the easiest for the contingent from England? So they made it New York. Germany, is this good for you? Or I guess, was Germany in the United? Yeah, they were. They were let in. Well, West Germany. Wait a second. I don't know. I don't know my history. I don't know my history good enough. I just know that, San Francisco and St. Louis. St. Louis was another city that they thought, let's put it right in the middle of America. And that was shut down basically because they were like, well, why is it so Americentric? So it's New York, because that's an easier flight for 65-year-old white dudes from Europe. Whatever. Moving on this day in 1953, Lavrentiy Beria, the head of the MVD, he's arrested by Nikita Khrushchev and other members of the Politburo. I've talked about Lavrentiy Beria before. Well, we hear all about, there's always some guy that wants to go, you think Hitler was bad? You should see what Stalin did, which is true. Stalin killed way more people than Hitler. Hitler is one of the world's all-time monsters. Stalin's up there too. But Stalin had a guy that was kind of putting all of these horrible... Actually, I don't know that that's the truth either. We shouldn't lay that at the feet of Beria. Beria was Stalin's chief torturer, interrogator. Beria was the guy that put everybody in the gulags in Siberia. Beria was a bad, bad dude. In the all-time ranking of just truly known bad human beings, Beria would be a top 10er. Guys like Beria and Mengele are kind of cut from the same cloth. They're just not, Hussein. Remember hearing stories about Hussein and how he tortured people by feeding them to lions and shit? Yeah, that's a special level of... Lavrentiy Beria is arrested on this day by Nikita Khrushchev. You know why? Because it was the new turnover. It was the new... Stalin was now gone. Khrushchev was trying to establish complete control there, especially within the Politburo. And Beria was seen as somebody who knew absolutely everything about every awful atrocity, and that he was also so dangerous that nobody could rest easy at night knowing that Stalin's man Beria was still a prominent member of the Politburo. So they went, you know what? It's about time. Oh, he was also one of the world's most prodigious rapists, Beria. I shouldn't bury that. That's like burying the lead there. I shouldn't do that. Beria was famous for being the guy, we've seen this depicted in scary Cold War movies about the Soviet Union. Beria was the guy that would roll around town in a limousine, and he would just look for girls walking down the street or whatever. And Beria would just tell his driver, pull over, get her, pull her in the car. And that girl would be dragged back to Beria's house and forced to have dinner and sex with Beria. Beria was an old, gross man. He did this thousands of times. He did this like every night for 2 decades. I mean, this is what Beria did. And he liked little girls. So it was children. It was children and teen girls and all of that. He would just roll around. Now, Here is how the nights ended. The next morning, the girl would come out of Beria's house. There would be a man standing there, and he would have a rose. And he would hand the girl, the victim of Beria the night before, he would hand the girl the rose. If the girl accepted the rose and kept walking, she was fine. If the girl refused the rose, she was thought to be somebody who didn't like and could talk and could make problems for Beria or whatever, and she was murdered by a third person who was watching this go down. So if you rejected the rose when leaving Beria's house, you would start walking home and somebody would kill you on your way home. That's Beria. And they threw him in jail today. He's fascinating. Fascinating. If you like horror, oh, he is fascinating. Antecedently on this day in 1959, Swedish boxer Ingemar Johansson becomes world champion. He beat Floyd Patterson on technical knockout after 2 minutes and 3 seconds in the third round at Yankee Stadium. Man, this is a famous fight because it's a great upset because nobody expected Ingemar Johansson. But if I could go back in time and just watch any fight, it would be Patterson, Floyd Patterson. It would be Sonny Liston, Floyd Patterson, Comiskey Park. From the "We Didn't Start the Fire" song. We didn't start the fire. Liston beats Patterson. That's I'd want to be dropped back into that for any number of reasons. Just because one, it's a cool moment in American sports history that's iconic. But also, I don't know, wouldn't you like to spend a Saturday night in 1955 just hanging out with dudes, just seeing what that was like, just kind of being an alien dropped in from another time? I do. I think that's fun. I think the cigarette smoke would really bug me. I think my 2024 sensibilities would be like, do you have to smoke that in here? And they'd be shit like that. But other than that, I think I'd like to do that. Anyway, Ingemar Johansson, he knocked out Floyd Patterson on this day. And then I think they fought 3 more times, and Patterson just wiped the canvas with him. So, Ingemar was forgettable. Other than his name is memorable. Antecedently on this day in 1963, the United States Cold War, U.S. President John F. Kennedy gave his Ich bin ein Berliner speech in support of the United States for a democratic West Germany. Remember this? This is where he said, today we are all Berliners. And famously, the joke was he got up there and Kennedy said, today we are all donuts. Because here's the story about that. Actually, here, I'll show it to you. Why not? This is history. We can learn something on this show, can't we? Yeah. Yeah, there it is. All right, let's see. Is this the Ich bin ein Berliner, the famous? No, don't want that. All right, there we go. Oh, this is cool. This is in color. All right, so check this out. So on this day in history, John F. Kennedy went down. He was in West Germany. He made a speech at the Berlin Wall, and it's his famous Ich bin ein Berliner speech. Okay, it's one of the famous speeches in American history. Great Cold War speech. But the folklore of the story over the years has become that's the speech where Kennedy got up in front of the world and said that today we are all donuts. True and not true. First, let's watch the speech, okay? And then I'll explain how that is true but not true. A bit disingenuous to the story. Here we go.
And there are even a few who say that it's true that communism is an evil system, but it permits us to make economic progress. Lass sie nach Berlin kommen. Let them come to Berlin.
Can I just say, I want to go back to the Cold War when an American president would go to another country and he was treated like a goddamn beetle. Can we go back to that? When was the last time an American president was this goddamn revered around the globe? I'll tell you when, back when there was a Cold War, back when the entire globe was us or them. We were the us.
All free men, wherever they may live, are citizens of Berlin. And therefore,
Here we go.
as a free man, I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
Oh, they used to love us. The whole damn world used to love us. Okay. So political opponents and people just looking to make a little bit of political joke is the story goes that Kennedy, when he said Ich bin ein Berliner, that he said he pronounced the Berliner a little bit wrong, okay, which pronounces it Berliner, okay? Now, a Berliner is a donut. A Berliner is a cherry, it's like a cherry-filled donut or something. That's what's known as a Berliner, okay? A person who is from Berlin is a Berliner, okay? A person from Berlin is known as a Berliner. A cherry-filled donut is a Berliner, okay? Now the joke is that he mispronounced it, and he actually ended up calling us. He said, "Today we are all donuts." He didn't mispronounce it. You know why? Because he was speaking to a German crowd. They don't call them. They don't call cherry-filled donuts Berliners over there. So that crowd, he was talking. He mispronounced Berliner as Berliner. That was his mispronunciation. And in the Western English-speaking world, that mispronunciation means donut. But to the people he was talking to, it just sounds like somebody, instead of saying I'm a New Yorker, I'm a New Yorker. Yeah, that's all it sounded like to those people. So stop it with your Kennedy said he's a donut. Okay. He did kind of, but only to the English-speaking world, which is not where he was. He was speaking to people in Berlin, and he was using the Berlin language. Ich bin ein. That's not English. So why would the first three words be German and then the last one is an English word for donut? That doesn't make sense, and it's disingenuous. But we'll recover. Antecedently on this day in the year 1974, the Universal Product Code is scanned for the very first time to sell a package of Wrigley's chewing gum at the Marsh City Supermarket in Troy, Ohio. Okay, so what is the Universal Product Code? I got a whole shit. I'm like, I got a bunch of products in front of me. I know that they've all got one. And I'm like, where can I hear? There it is on the back of the battery pack. This is on the first day stores start these things. Oh, no, this, yeah, you know this thing? Those lines that they use, the scanners. There it is. They all came to be today. And I promise you, there was somebody over 40 who had a real problem with it. What the hell is this now? What is this now? They're scanning my phone. That's somebody had a fucking problem with that. Why? Because we manufacture strife in our life in order to get to that beautiful endorphin rush. I'm stressed. Come on. I didn't even know that's what they were called. But there you go. That's what they're called. And it was on this day, in 1974, that the UPC. Oh, wait a second. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I've heard it called a UPC code. Scan the UPC code. Okay. Antecedently on this day in 1977, Elvis Presley held his final concert in Indianapolis. Okay, so this was at Market Square Arena. This is the famous, like, horrible Elvis Presley concert. This was his last concert. He was super fat. He was super sweaty. It was not great. So this was when? This was in June. Right. So, geez, it was today since it happened on this day. So it was on this day in 1977 in June. So, and he died in, oh, I know when he died. He died August 16th because that's the day that I was banned from Graceland for life 20 years later. All right. So August 16th. So his last concert was tonight in June. And then he just basically took the summer off, I guess, and died pooping on the toilet. I think there's video and stuff at this concert. How great would that be? Like, this is how the world, man, this is why you got to keep hope alive. You got to keep hope alive, because I promise you, the people that saw Elvis Presley tonight in 1977, his last concert, They didn't know it was the last concert. But I promise you that the people who saw that concert, a great number of them left that show going, that sucked, man. I want my money back. I can't believe that, man. Elvis was so disappointing. And then, you carry that with you for about 6 months. And then he dies, and then you're like, I was at his last concert. I was at it when we saw Elvis's final show. So, keep hope alive. Well, on the night of, it was a disappointing concert, and you were pissed and wanted your money back. 6 months later, you were at Elvis's final concert. Look at you. Keep hope alive, people. Keep hope. There's got to always be something lurking out there. Something we're working for, right? Antecedently on this day, in the year 1997. Okay, we're going to go to 97. We got a couple from 97. 1997, the U.S. Supreme Court rules that communications... Supreme Court. It's Supreme Court week. Supreme Court's making a whole bunch of decisions. We may see some breaking news. What's the Supreme Court mistakenly posts abortion ruling document on site? I don't know what that is. That sounds like big news, but I'm not paying attention to it, so I won't let it distract me. On this day, because this is Supreme Court season, on this day in 1997, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Communications Decency Act violates the First Amendment of these here United States Constitution. Communications Decency Act. Was this? Yeah, okay, I know what this is. This was like the first attempt. The internet was very, very new. And some forward-thinking people in Congress who understood what the internet was going to be. This was the first attempt back in 1996 to gain some kind of obscenity control over the internet. The fear back in 1996 was that, in 10 years, every teenager in America is going to have access to unlimited pornography. And, in 1996, I think a lot of people heard that and went, what are you talking about? The only place you can get pornography is in the bad part of town. You got to get in a car. You got to go to one of those creepy bookstores. You got to buy a raincoat. So when people in 1996 were saying, hey, look, this is really going to be a problem, because I don't know if you've noticed, but with the limited things that are happening with the internet here in 1996, a whole lot of them are porn related. We should probably look at that. And the Supreme Court of the time said, this internet thing, this is a fad. We don't need to take it seriously with it. If the Supreme Court had ruled differently back then, I mean, I don't know. I think there's too much porn. I am not in any way, shape, or form anti-porn. I feel about porn the way I feel about guns, the way I feel about cars. That's it. There needs to be some sort of regulation over this stuff, because if left to our own devices, I don't know that humanity can be controlled. There's some dark porn holes, man, that people, and you hear these stories all the time. It's like, man, and thank God I'm Gen X, thank God that I had to, if I found a Playboy in somebody's garage, oh my God, it was like striking gold. 1982, you find a Playboy in somebody's garage. You go out and to your tree fort and you bury it in the woods because it's that precious. That's how precious porn was. Now, you're 12 and you get a little horny. All you got to do is take the laptop into the bathroom. And the greatest defense that you're going to face in this whole thing is going to be a pop-up that's going to say, are you 18? Because we know every horny 12-year-old is going to answer that off. But anyway, so it was on this day that I believe 1997, hindsight being what it is. It would be interesting for me to go back to 1997 to see how I thought back then. Because chances are, back in 1997, I was like, no way, man, you should be able to get porn. I probably was that idiot back then. But I was young and I didn't have forethought. I wasn't looking. I didn't have my own kids that I'm concerned about. I didn't have introspection into my own life about what kind of shit could have been different from my childhood that might have produced me into an alternative, person. I don't know. Antecedently on this day in 1997 as well. Okay, so the Supreme Court did their thing in 97, but also on this day, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is released. The very first Harry Potter book. Wow. Talk about that. Antecedently on this day in 2003, a Supreme Court ruling. Here's another one. The United States Supreme Court rules in Lawrence versus Texas that sex-based sodomy laws are unconstitutional. All right. So I got to be okay. Hand to God. The longest time. And by longest time, I mean, I don't know, maybe I was 28. I don't know. I didn't know what sodomy was. I didn't. Thankfully, it didn't come up much in, the kinds of conversations with the kinds of people that I was with. So, it wasn't really a problem for me. But I think I thought sodomy was bestiality. And I guess that there are I guess they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like you can sodomize a beast. I don't know, whatever. But now, of course, I know what sodomy is. I am familiar with the act and how it's maybe more important to a certain group of Americans who are living their life a certain way than it is to the rest of us. Maybe. However, it used to be like illegal, right? Like they get arrested. That was one of the reasons that they used to arrest like gay people. It's like you're having the butt sex and Jesus doesn't like butt sex. Is that whole thing? So here you go. So the Supreme Court in 2003, they said, hey, look, states, you gotta, okay, you can have butt sex. Okay, butt sex is not illegal. Hooray. Good day for butt sex and other kinds of questionable. Look, sodomy is more than just butt sex. Did you know that? It is. But anyway, most commonly thought to be butt sex. Antecedently on this day in 2013, another Supreme Court ruling. They ruled 5-4 that Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act is unconstitutional and in violation of the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. Yeah, this is a Defense of Marriage Act. That's like, poof, that went away. That was an attempt to like block gay people from getting married, which again, this is, one of the situations that I never really understood. I didn't know a lot of gay people. They weren't like, I was working, much of my life in entertainment and in radio. So I had gay people that I worked with, but like when I went home and hung out with people, it wasn't like, I didn't have a lot of gay friends, nothing like that. So it didn't really, I was like, why do I care? Why do I care if they want to get married over there where they're doing their thing at their, I didn't get it. But a lot of people did, so much so that we created this Defense of Marriage Act where we tried to convince people about what marriage is. And look, I understand that marriage is a very personal thing and you may have a farly different definition of it than I do. My definition of marriage is probably colder than most, but it's also literal and specific to what it is. Marriage is government accounting. No more, no less. That's all it is. Marriage is the act of reporting to the government that you are now a family unit and that they should keep you to, and whether it's religious law, I mean, marriage goes back. I'm not just talking about a government, like an elected government, whether it's religious law, whatever it is an authority figure's well, I mean, I guess with religion you can say blessing of, but really accounting of, new marriages. And you couldn't just be spreading your seed all over and having a whole bunch of kids and nobody knew their names and all that kind of stuff. So that is at its heart what marriage is. Love is not that, although they do intersect quite frequently throughout time. But love is different. So I don't give a shit. Well, marriage, like your love is no more important than somebody else's love, just simply because you've got a piece of paper with the state Secretary of State's signature on it or whatever. I don't know. So the Defense of Marriage Act, I remember being against that. But also not like Mr. I'm gay pride, because it was 1996. I was probably still using the F word, the gay F word, the one that's okay in England, but not okay here. I was probably still using that, but I didn't have any malice in my heart towards the gay community. Defense of Marriage Act. I remember that, bringing back some memories. All right. It brings back memories because I remember a particularly heated debate very early in my career in Chicago radio about the precursor to the Defense of Marriage Act. Anyway, moving on. 2015 now, antecedently on this day. Oh, God, another Supreme Court. God damn it. There's another one. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that same-sex couples have constitutional rights to marriage. Look at that. In 2013, it was the dismantling and destruction of the Defense of Marriage Act. That was in 2013. And 2 years later, the Supreme Court came right out and said, look, they kind of, I like their attitude's kind of like mine on this with the how did they rule 5-4? Well, at least the ones who, the 5, my attitude is more like. Somebody else getting taller doesn't make you shorter, right? That's the thing that I always go back to. I don't give a shit if gay people want to get married. Why do you? Think I have a clue is why you do. Because it allows you to get mad. Allows you to get them endorphins going. Remember what I said? You like that stuff. It's a shortcut to getting just a short little endorphin rush of rage. Man, that bothers me. That people in a part of town that I never go to. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? You're rage farming your own brain. Stop it. Who cares? Let them go do their thing. Antecedently on this day, and no, that's it. We're done. That's it for that segment. Let's move on to birthdays. Q2. These are people celebrating birthdays. Let's talk about it. Born on this day in 1819, Abner Doubleday, that big old fraud. Abner Doubleday did not invent baseball. Abner Doubleday did not invent baseball. What Abner Doubleday was, and is not the thing he's known for, but is what he should be known for, is a tremendous general during the Civil War. Also, famously, the man who fired the first shot at Fort Sumter. That's him, Abner Doubleday. Now, he was born and raised in Cooperstown, New York. And throughout his life, after his military career ended, he became quite the showman, a bit of a P.T. Barnum, if you will. He used to do speaking engagements, and he was very popular. If they had Fox News back then, he'd be on all the time. It's like a Rudy Giuliani type, just trying to stay in the limelight any way possible. So that's who Abner Doubleday was. He died. And then like years later, when baseball was becoming really popular, there became a debate in New York among New York sports writers. And that is, what is the origin of baseball? Because the true origin of baseball is that it is a version of rounders, an English game. Okay, they can trace it back. Like if you really look at the history, you can see where baseball came from. It was soldiers mixing with British soldiers, especially up in Canada, who sort of started tinkering over the years with the game of rounders. And what was born was the American game of baseball. Okay, we apparently didn't like the Brits back then. Well, I don't know when we liked the Brits. Actually, starting like World War II, I think that's when we started really liking the Brits. Anyway, around this time, 1903, something like that, we didn't really love the Brits. And we wanted some American cultural identity. So what we did was a myth was created about where baseball came from. And that's where Abner Doubleday suddenly became, and that's why Cooperstown became like somehow the epicenter of baseball. No, it's just because it's where Abner Doubleday is from. And they created the myth that he invented baseball. And so now you got Cooperstown. It's where the first baseball game was played, the legend tells. It's not true, though. First baseball game, they believe, was played somewhere up in Canada with a mixture of American and British troops. Cooperstown is a better story. Born on this day in 1909, Colonel Tom Parker. He was Elvis's con man in charge. He's like, man, Elvis probably would have been like Elvis had money. Elvis had good money. Like, imagine by today's standards, Elvis did not have Beyonce money. Elvis did not have Taylor Swift money. Elvis had like Maroon 5 money, and it was because of Colonel Tom Parker. Colonel Tom Parker basically got everything. He owned Elvis outright forever in perpetuity. That's why they had to pimp out his house and all that stuff after he died. The family was like, what do you mean we don't have all the money we expected? They're like, nah, Elvis had money, but he didn't have that kind of money. Anyway, on this day in 1909, Colonel Tom Parker, born. Denmark or something, too. He's not even American. That whole Colonel Tom thing, that was a bit. He was trying to appear to be less con-man-y to people in the South, even though because he was a foreigner and they didn't like foreigners. So he's, I'm Colonel Tom Parker. And he's like all an act. Who played it? Tom Hanks played him in the movie recently. He was good, I guess. Well, he's good and everything. Born on this day in 1915, Paul Castellano, Big Paulie Castellano, second boss of the Gambino crime family, gunned down right there on the streets in New York City back in the 80s, Sparks Steakhouse. I've eaten at Sparks Steakhouse only because I wanted to eat where Big Paulie Castellano got knocked down. Big Paulie Castellano, he was, this ushers in the rise of Gotti and all of that, which would come with the Gambino crime family. Why did Paul Castellano get taken out? Because he was a businessman. street bosses and the earners and all that, they didn't like the way Paulie Castellano started running the Gambino family. Carlo Gambino, the namesake, he had been in charge forever. He's an old man now, stepped down, he's gone. Now you got Paulie Castellano. Paulie's the son-in-law. Paulie Castellano wears suits and not shark skin either. Paulie Castellano looks like he should be a banker on Wall Street. Paulie Castellano is actually a businessman. Don't get it twisted. He was brought up in the mob. He is thick. He is murderous thug through and through, but he's also an entrepreneur and a businessman. And not only that, a talented businessman. Paulie Castellano's thing was breaking out businesses, running out all their credit, blah, 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 buying the business for pennies on the dollar, reopening and making those businesses thrive legitimately. He was, we see in a lot of these mafia movies, we see, at some point throughout the story of whatever mafia clan we're watching, there'll be somebody who goes, we got to get into legitimate businesses. Well, that's Paulie Castellano. That's what he did. That was his change. He started to shape organized crime, New York-based organized crime, in a more legitimate way. And his belief was the legitimate fronts would always be able to indemnify us from, the other stuff we got going on. Well, street thugs who were doing overt crime and old school stuff didn't like the changeover. So John Gotti and a number of Sammy the Bull Gravano and P.D. Esposito, they all got together out in front of Sparks Steakhouse in the mid-1980s. And as Paulie Castellano's car pulled up, he got out of the car and they gunned him down. He didn't even get his last meal. Paulie Castellano, born on this day in 1950, one of the great American mafia stories. Born on this day in 1955. How about Mick Jones? Mick Jones from The Clash, Mick Jones from Big Audio Dynamite, Mick Jones from, what was he in recently? Is he in Pulp Fiction? I think he was in Pulp Fiction. Mick Jones. Get the hammer again. The Clash is like one of the all-time great bands. For me, they're a top 5 band all time. But don't sleep on Big Audio Dynamite, man. Don't. Born on this day in 1955, Mick Jones. Born on this day in 1959, Mark McKinney. He's one of the kids in the hall. He's the forgettable one. Born on this day in 1961, this was a chick who didn't know what she wanted to be. She didn't know if she wanted to be an actress. She didn't know if she wanted to be a singer, and she kind of failed at both. Terry Nunn, born on this day in 1961. Terry Nunn was an 80s actress who was like in a bunch of like Ski Patrol and stuff like that because she was kind of hot. Terry Nunn also had a band. She was the lead singer in a band. That band was called Berlin. And because of her acting stuff, she got on the radar of some, film, screen, direct, whatever. I don't know what it is. And her band Berlin exploded when their single, Take My Breath Away, was added to Top Gun. Terry Nunn, lead singer of Berlin. Take my breath away. Oh, God, I hated that song. Ugh. The love theme from Top Gun. No, thank you. Born on this day in 1970, one of the great filmmakers of all time, and certainly one of the finest filmmakers working today, Paul Thomas Anderson, P.T. Anderson. He's one of my favorites. Born on this day in 1970. Can I just say a little something about Paul Thomas Anderson first? And I think I mentioned this last year. Really bothered me. Paul Thomas Anderson got swept up in the fervor of the whole Me Too thing a bunch of years ago, actually probably like 2020, 2019, whatever it was. By the way, do you ever think that maybe I got to check the timing on this, but did the Me Too movement happen because of the pandemic? Like, was it just a period of time where like every woman had to sit on their couch and just contemplate where they've been in their life? Is that where it comes from? I mean, does the timing work out? Like, was that going on around the time of the like Me Too? Was everybody suddenly, I want to tell my story and all these posts, these long involved? Was that around the same time as the pandemic? I don't know. All I know about the pandemic was what was his name? Tiger King. That's it. That's all I remember. I remember Tiger King, pandemic. And then the pandemic went on for like another 2 years. Paul Thomas Anderson, I love him. Anyway, back then he got Me Too'd up. It was some nonsense that I think Fiona Apple, who he dated like back in the 90s, some stupid silliness. Fiona Apple said that he was very violent. And then he was made, he was abusive. She didn't really come right out. I don't think he was ever accused of hardcore rape or anything like that, but his character was questioned. And it was like an attempt to, do to him, whatever deal he may have been working on that week probably got tanked because of the story. It's that kind of just nuisance nonsense. Here's what I say about Paul Thomas Anderson. Do you know who P.T. Anderson is married to? Paul Thomas Anderson has been married to Maya Rudolph for 20 years. They got kids. They seem to be madly in love with each other. I don't need Fiona Apple coming in here and trying to paint a completely different picture of Paul Thomas Anderson than the one that I'm sure is the authentic picture. You know why? And here's why. It's Maya Rudolph is a very important key in this. I don't think Maya Rudolph would suffer through the Paul Thomas Anderson that Fiona Apple describes. Okay, so there you go. Paul Thomas Anderson, in my book, is Maya Rudolph certified. And that's a cool bitch who I don't think suffers fools easily. So she had children with him. She's been married to him for 20 years. I think Paul Thomas Anderson is probably a good dude. He might be temperamental. He's a director. They all are, but let's not kid ourselves. And by the way, Fiona Apple's weird. Fiona Apple's weird. You were weird back then. You're weird, Fiona Apple. So anyway, Paul Thomas Anderson is having a birthday today. You know what we're going to do for you, because I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I don't want to do a draft. But I will rank all the Paul Thomas Anderson films. And don't worry, he doesn't have many. He's only got 10 if you include his next film, which I'm very excited about. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn, and it's supposed to be released, I think maybe this winter. They've already finished the principal photography on it, and we don't even have a title. We don't even know what the title is. We just get little bits and pieces about what it's about. Anyway, he's got 10, so I'm going to rank them 10-1. Number 10 is the one I just mentioned. It's the one I haven't seen. It's the one I haven't seen. It's the one that's coming out. I don't know what it's going to be, but as I said, it stars Sean Penn, Leo. Looks like, Paul Thomas Anderson, so it's going to be good. There you go. That comes in at number 10 in my Paul Thomas Anderson film list. He is my man. I think he's my second favorite active director. And that he could be my single favorite active director if, in fact, Quentin Tarantino is done. Quentin Tarantino is done, and he doesn't have one more in him. He was producing and getting ready to direct and write The Critic, which was supposed to be his last film, and he ditched that. He's not doing The Critic anymore. So I don't know if he's going to have a 10th film, whatever. This one coming up for Paul Thomas Anderson will be his 10th film. And honestly, these are the two guys of their generation for me. The two of I love Kubrick and I love Scorsese, but man, these are the two guys, Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin Tarantino. Anyway, number 10, the untitled, soon to come new Paul Thomas Anderson film. Number 9 on my list of Paul Thomas Anderson films, the only one I didn't like, The Master. The Master. Philip Seymour Hoffman. It was supposed to be the Scientology takedown, the story of L. Ron Hubbard and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was going on with Paul Thomas Anderson. He lost his way there. Number 9 is The Master. Number 8, Inherent Vice. Inherent Vice is a good movie. It's just not as good. Number 7 is Phantom Thread. Phantom Thread is a good movie. Like the fashion industry. It's just not as good. Number 6 is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of my go-to movies. I have a couple of movies that I go to when I got the blahs. One of them is Silver Linings Playbook. Occasionally, another one is Love Actually, depending on the time of year. But so is this one, Paul Thomas Anderson's Punch Drunk Love. I love this movie. I love that movie. And Adam Sandler doing drama. I don't know. It's just, I just love that movie. It just puts me in a good place. I'll tell you another one of my good place movies. The Upside of Anger. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called The Upside of Anger. It's from like 2010. Joan Allen and Kevin Costner. And it's so good. It's just such a good place movie. Also, Wonder Boys is another one of my good place movies. All right, what am I doing? I'm doing a Paul Thomas Anderson draft. All right, so definitely one of my good place movies is Punch Drunk Love. Number 5 is Hard 8. Hard 8 is the first one that I think I ever noticed of Paul Thomas Anderson. It was an art house film from the early 90s, maybe mid-90s, I'm not sure. But it starred Well, Philip Baker Hall, who we would come to know in another Paul Thomas Anderson to be named, another Paul Thomas Anderson film to be named. Who's the guy? Step Brothers, Shake and Bake, Curly Hair, South Side of Chicago, John C. Reilly. That's what it is. It's Philip Baker Hall, John C. Reilly, Hard Eight. It is such a good film. If you've never seen it, that's why it comes on at number 5 in my Paul Thomas Anderson draft. Number 4 is Licorice Pizza from last year. I've watched that twice now. I just love the movie. I love Bradley Cooper's performance. The whole involvement of Bradley Cooper. Also, John C. Reilly as Fred Gwynn from the Munsters. Remember the Munsters? John C. Reilly plays him in Licorice Pizza. Licorice Pizza comes in number 4 on my Paul Thomas Anderson birthday, not draft, but list of best films. Number 3 is one of the greatest films ever made. So that obviously means that number 2 on this list is going to be one of those as well, as is number 1. And yes, that's absolutely true. But number three was like the first movie. For so many years, this was my favorite movie. I mean, it even unseated Strangelove for a period of time. And Strangelove has been my favorite movie since I'm 18. Magnolia. Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia is such an amazingly good film. It is not one of my Good Place films. It's a different kind. It's not a Good Place film. It's just such a good film. If you allow yourself to emotionally just go with that film, it is going to turn you inside out. Magnolia. Tom Cruise is so, again, John C. Reilly as the cop. So good. I also think, is it Magnolia where we get to see full Firecrotch Bush from Julianne Moore? I think so, right? There's an earthquake, right? There's an earthquake that occurs, and she's standing in her LA living room with the giant view of the Hollywood Hills behind her. She's in a mansion, and she's got no pants on. She's arguing with her husband. Magnolia. I don't even know if that's from Magnolia. I think it is. God, I love Magnolia. All right, number 3 is Magnolia in the Paul Thomas Anderson draft. Number 2, There Will Be Blood. I can talk for hours about There Will Be Blood, and I will drink your milkshake the whole time. That's such a great film. And number 1, the best Paul Thomas Anderson movie, the film that I saw. I'd already seen, I think, Hard 8. What else had I seen by this point? Had I seen anything else? No, I don't think I'd seen Magnolia yet. Nope, that came after. Boogie Nights. Man, Boogie Nights. I cannot wait for my son, who's 15, to be old enough for me to watch Boogie Nights with him. I think that's going to come 18, maybe 17. I'll tell you what, we'll look at the question honestly his senior year of high school. We'll decide where he is, if he can. But as of right now, 15, I don't want to watch Boogie Nights with him. But oh my God, Boogie Nights is such a good movie on so many levels. It's fun. It's hysterical. It's hysterical without trying to be hysterical. Like, it's funny because these characters are interesting and they do weird things and make strange choices. And that's the humor of it. That's such a great film. Happy birthday, Paul Thomas Anderson. You're my favorite. Born on this day in 1970. Also born on this day in 1970, Sean Hayes. I like Sean Hayes. He's one of the co-hosts of my favorite podcast, Smartless. But, how much can I say? Born on this day also in 1970. Woo! My God, would you look at this Gen X run? Holy shit. Here's this Gen X run. Born on this day in 1970, Paul Thomas Anderson. Born on this day in 1970, Sean Hayes. Born on this day in 1970, Nick Offerman. Who doesn't love Nick Offerman? Born on this day in 1973, Gretchen Wilson. Isn't she the hillbilly girl? Isn't she kind of the slutty hot? I'll get drunk and do you in a pickup. What was her name? Isn't that her? Is that Gretchen? Do I have it wrong? Gretchen Wilson. Born on this day in 1973. Born on this day in 1974, Derek Jeter. Born on this day in 1980. All right, let's get that's a pretty good Gen X run. Paul Thomas Anderson, Sean Hayes, Chris O'Donnell, Nick Offerman, Gretchen Wilson, Derek Jeter, Jason Schwartzman. Oh, no, Derek Jeter. Now we'll give the millennials a run. Here are the millennials born on this day. Jason Schwartzman, pretty good. Michael Vick. And Michael Vick was born on this day in 1980. Him and Jason Schwartzman, 1980. Born on this day in 1984. Here you go. This is where the millennials win it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Aubrey Plaza Day. Oh, my God. First of all, let me just say before we get too far downstream, how freaking awesome is it that Aubrey Plaza and Nick Offerman share a birthday, especially when you understand that they became famous together playing boss and secretary, and they were so good together. You just know that on this day, back when they were shooting Parks and Recreation, Nick Offerman and Aubrey Plaza having a joint birthday. I want to go to that joint birthday back in 2008. I do. I want to go. Chris Pratt's going to be there, although you might not be as impressed with him back then because he ain't Chris Pratt yet, but he might still be fun. Rob Lowe? No. Is Rob Lowe going to be there in 2008? Maybe. When did he come in? He came in like season 2. I love Aubrey Plaza. I'll tell you, one of the funniest things, everything, Aubrey Plaza, you know what she is? Here, my God, look at this. Look what I just discovered. Aubrey Plaza is Tums. Aubrey Plaza works every time. Never seen Aubrey Plaza in a role, in a show, in a sketch, whatever. I've never seen her in something that didn't work. That didn't work simply because of her presence. What is it that she has? I don't get it. She's not Megan Fox, right? You know what she is? Here's what Megan Fox, or not Megan Fox, here's what Aubrey Plaza is. Aubrey Plaza is a Cincinnati 7. That's what she is. She's a Cincinnati 7. She's one of the 25 cutest girls in your graduating class. That's who she is. She's not Megan Fox, okay? She's not Sydney Sweeney. She's not Zendaya. She's just another classification of female. However, that's not, but here's who she is. She's actually Aubrey Plaza, which isn't entirely based on that. She's still pretty. I'm telling you, she's pretty. I called her a Cleveland 7. We should all be or a Cincinnati 7. We should all be so lucky to have the company of a Cincinnati 7. That's a beautiful girl. Okay. She's not a Hollywood bombshell. All right. So anyway, she's a Cincinnati 7, but it's her personality, right? It's Aubrey Plaza's personality. I should probably show you. I don't know, losing people. Everybody know. I just assume that everybody's as crazy about Aubrey Plaza as I am. All right, what else can I tell you about Aubrey Plaza and my fascination with her? What's that HBO show about it's like Fantasy Island, but it's not? Hey, Pugs, that was a great description. There's a show on HBO Max, changes every year. It's one of those ensemble casts. People go away. Fancy resorts, white palms. No, that's not it. How come there are no good Aubrey Plaza pictures? All right, well, you know what? Fine, we'll start here. We'll see how long it takes us to find Here you go. This. There you go. Boom. This. For some reason, and I can't explain it, for some reason, this is beloved by almost everyone. Who doesn't like Aubrey Plaza? Have you ever met somebody who's like, oh, I hate her? Nobody. She's funny. She's cool. She seems cool. She's dark. She started out on Parks and Rec as almost goth-like, almost like the Winona Ryder character in Beetlejuice, kind of a Christina Ricci kind of thing. She was doing that whole vibe. But then she suddenly just kind of was allowed to evolve into her gives no fucks attitude. And that's what connected with people. Frank always throwing out the random ethnicity. She's Puerto Rican, apparently. There she is. Look at her. Everybody loves her. That's a Cincinnati 7. We should be so lucky. Dude, I'm a Chicago 4. Okay? So, look at, yeah, okay, there she does. She's getting a little Hollywoodified. Anyway, she is the Tums of current actresses in my book because she does her job every time. She never disappoints. It's Aubrey Plaza Day. She was born on this day. 1984. Born on this day in 1992. The millennials win. Sorry. I thought Gen X had a nice little run there, but they got all. If the millennials are going to, offer up Aubrey Plaza being born on this day, they win. Also born on this day in 92, Rudy Gobert. He's a basketball player. Isn't he the guy that gave everybody? Didn't he? Can we blame him for the pandemic? Isn't he the one? Let's just blame him for the pandemic. Yeah. Remember when Rudy? Oh God, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if in like 200 years, Rudy Gobert, like the way we call people Typhoid Mary, like today, oh, Typhoid Mary spreading the disease. Wouldn't it be great if in like 500 years, people are like, oh, aren't you a Rudy Gobert? Because like people just think that Rudy Gobert started the pandemic. No, he's the guy during the pandemic, right? He's the basketball player that was making a joke about all the precautions, and he touched all of the journalists' microphones. He goes, and like, I don't know, I guess some people got sick or something. I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter. 500 years from now, there will be no Typhoid Mary. There will be a Rudy Gobert. That is my prediction. Etch it in stone, as they say. Jeanette McCurdy, born on this day in 1992. Don't know who she is. I do know who she is because I clicked on it. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, well, that's good that I don't know who she is. Apparently, she's one of them Disney star kids. I shouldn't know who Disney star kids are until they've not been on Disney for like 20 years. Like if you used to be on Disney like 20 years ago, I think it's okay for me to know you, comment on. But if you're just somebody, like especially if you were on Disney in like when I was in my 30s, if I shouldn't know anybody who was on Disney when I was in my 30s. And if that's all you did, I shouldn't know your name, right? Like I know Ariana Grande because she did more. She did more than whatever those kids shows were. I know Miley Cyrus because she sort of crossed over. I shouldn't know anybody else. But I think this Jeanette McCurdy girl, I think she's a big name. And I think she was highly involved in that, hey, I got raped by the Nickelodeon kid show guy. I don't even know what that was called. What was that show called? Behind the Scenes, The Dark Side of Kids TV? I don't know. I pulled that out of my ass. That might be what it was called. Jeanette McCurdy, born on this day in 1992. Wait a second. Is that her? Or is she an Olympic gymnast from 1998? Right? It could also be that. For some reason in my mind, I make no distinction between kids who were on Hannah Montana and kids who won medals in Seoul. Is she an Olympic gymnast? Who is she? Jeanette McCurdy. She's an American writer, filmmaker, former actress, and singer. Her breakthrough role as Sam Puckett in the Nickelodeon sitcom iCarly earned her 4 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. Okay, very good. Also, that bodes well for me because I just, threw out the generic Disney kid. That's right. There were 2. There's like a Coke to every Pepsi or a Pepsi to every Coke. There was Nick, which is the subject of the Kids Getting Diddled documentary series that came out a couple months ago. That's Nick. That's Nickelodeon. And then there's Disney. But I don't know who's who. Like, I don't know. Like Hannah Montana, what was that? Was that Disney or is that Nick? Where did Ariana Grande come from? I've heard of iCarly. I've heard the cultural reference iCarly. I don't know what it is. Let's move on. Happy birthday, Jeanette McCurdy. Oh my God, look at this. Jeanette McCurdy was born on this day in 1992. Born on this day in 1993, very same day, Ariana Grande. I just name checked her. I didn't realize she was coming up next in the birthdays. Happy birthday, Ariana Grande. Here's Ariana Grande's problem. If you show me a picture of Ariana Grande from like the shoulders up, just show me her face, show me all that. I will tell you that is a beautiful woman. My goodness, look at those features. Look at that bone structure. Look at that angular nose and chin. Look at those eyes, those exotic, mysterious. Whoa, that is a beautiful woman. If you pull out and you go from the neck down, I'm like, Jesus, she's 12 years old. What is going on here? That's my feeling on Ariana Grande. All right, let's do some deaths now. Quarter three, it's time. These are the deads. These are people who died on this day. We open up the books and we take a look and we like to decide, did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? Okay, let's see. First, dead on this day in 1993, Roy Campanella. I'm putting Roy in heaven. Just so you know, the old baseball head in me. No, the old baseball head in me. Putting Roy Campanella in heaven. Roy Campanella is probably the best catcher in the history of the game. Look, even I'm a catching fetish. So even I would, push back on that. But there are arguments. He's there. And you may not even know who Roy Campanella was. Roy Campanella was the best catcher in his he won 3 MVPs. I mean, he was the best catcher in the National League at the time. Played in New York. He wasn't even the most famous catcher in New York because at the very same time, I think wasn't Yogi Berra catching for the Yankees. So it was like Yogi and then Roy. And yeah, it was the same time because Roy obviously was not allowed to play baseball for the first 10 years of his career because of his skin color. He was a black catcher. Played the position of catcher at a time when the catcher was thought to be the smartest guy on the team. And, they had just broken the color barrier. And black people were not considered by white bigots to be all that bright. So they certainly never thought they would be able to handle the catching position. And here comes Roy Campanella. And he's not just going to handle the catching position. He's going to play it better than any white boy you can put next to him. That was Roy Campanella's contribution. 3 MVPs. How many years did he? But he had a really sad demise too. Well, not demise, but his career ended after a car accident. He was paralyzed in a car accident, so he probably could have played longer. Doesn't hold a whole bunch of records and all that because, again, he's one of those dudes who half of his career was in the Negro Leagues. Although, isn't that interesting? That's right. 2 weeks ago, Major League Baseball voted they're going to assimilate the Negro League records into Major League records. So this will be interesting. I wonder where Roy Campanella sits now. Have they done that merger of records? Because he's going to be up there with Johnny Bench. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Roy Campanella, died on this day in 93. He's going to heaven, man. He's going to heaven. Played on the same team as Jackie Robinson 1 year later. All the abuse that Jackie Robinson took, Roy Campanella took as well, but at least Jackie had Roy and Roy had Jackie. Also, it should be noted, Branch Rickey originally wanted to bring Roy Campanella up first. Roy Campanella is older than Jackie Robinson. He'd been playing the game and was more effective. Jackie Robinson was chosen over Roy Campanella for not like any racial reasons. It was because I don't remember what it was. Anyway, but Roy Campanella, he could have been Jackie Robinson. Instead, he just had to wait another year. Roy Campanella was, however, the first black player in Major League's minor league system. He was the first black player to play in Major League Baseball's minor leagues. And of course, Jackie would come after him, but Jackie was brought up to the majors before him, as was Larry Doby. Larry Doby was also played in Cleveland. Anyway, moving on. I don't need to bore you all with my baseball old head bullshit. Dead on this day in 2007, Liz Claiborne. She was a fashion lady, so we're putting her in hell. Dead on this day in 2012, we're putting this lady in heaven. I am sorry. I know a lot. I'm about to reveal a little bit about myself that maybe some of you won't be comfortable with, but that's okay. She's going to heaven. Her name is Nora Ephron. Nora Ephron. A lot of things have changed about your old friend Pugs in the years since he's been away. You may recall I wasn't a big hugger back in the day. Used to make that clear all the time. I don't like to touch people. I don't like to hug strangers. It's not a thing. I don't like it when girls come up to me and are like, yeah, hey, sweetie. I don't know. I just never liked it. I'm also wasn't a dancer. Here, Pugs of 2024, I'll hug anything. I don't care. Well, you got a baby. Ooh, little baby. I will hug anything. I love hugs. Hugs are something no human can get enough of. I'll take hugs. I don't care. I won't initiate hugs, though, because let me tell you something that I know as a middle-aged white man. I can't give hugs. I can't be like, yeah, come here, little lady. I can't do that, and I'll never do that. But if somebody's like, oh, and they lean in, I used to be like, I'm good. I don't do that anymore. I also dance now. That's right, I'll dance. Fuck, why not? We can all die at any minute. Dancing is fun. It's fun. It's silly. Don't you feel stupid? I feel stupid all the time. Why should dancing be any different? That's what I say. I'll dance. The other thing about me that you may not remember is I used to be extremely anti-rom-com. I'm now considering myself a bit of a rom-com expert. That's right. I like rom-coms. I have liked rom-coms for a number of years, quietly and secretly. I lived a life in the closet. Yeah. I refused to watch The Notebook with my girlfriend. Refused. I don't want to watch that garbage, and then secretly watched it by myself in bed one weekend when she was out of town. That's me. That's me. You know why? Because if I'm moved to tears by something really stupid and plastic in a movie, I choose to do that in private. Anyway, I love rom-coms now. I think what really brought around my conversion into being open about my love of the rom-com film genre, it's Love Actually. It was year after year around Christmas time of watching Love Actually and me going, holy shit, what is it about this movie that I love so much? And then recognizing that, you know what? I love these kinds of movies. I don't know why I act like that stupid chick flicks. I just love those kinds of movies. I love them. And Nora Ephron, who died on this day, who we must decide her fate. Does she go to heaven or does she go to hell? Nobody is more instrumental in the genre of rom-coms than Nora Ephron. They were named for her. They were not named for her, but they were named over. Okay. Why? How do I make that statement? Well, here's what I would say. I would say that you have three categories of rom-coms. There's thousands of rom-coms, right? It's a genre, and it's done badly and it's done wonderfully. But there are three, I think, that are like stalwarts of the genre. Three establishing films that you have to say, call it the Mount Rushmore, if you will. But the first one is what I think is ground zero of the rom-com, and that's When Harry Met Sally, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. They didn't even have a name for the genre when that movie came out. They didn't know what that movie was. They didn't know how to describe it. It was described as a rom-com, and that's where that comes from. Okay, so that's the groundbreaking. That's the first. That's the origin of the rom-com, right? Okay, so then what is like the quintessential rom-com film? Okay, that's another Nora Ephron film, Sleepless in Seattle. Tom Hanks again. You've got Meg Ryan, right? Wasn't it Meg Ryan as well? I'm not sure at this one, but I don't know, whatever. But Sleepless in Seattle, also Nora Ephron. So Nora Ephron has written and created the cornerstone, Harry Met Sally, right? She's also created now what is considered the genre-defining film, Sleepless in Seattle, right? And then she topped it all off a couple of years later with what was the biggest, I believe it's still the number one grossing rom-com of all time, You've Got Mail. Also with Meg Ryan, right? Was that one Meg Ryan too? Was that one also Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks? Was that the reteaming from Sleepless in Seattle? She's a baller, man. She wrote a whole bunch of movies, in her career. She not just rom-coms. I mean, she also did Silkwood, if you remember that. Meryl Streep and Cher, I think, played her roommate. Sam Elliott, I think, was also in that. Or maybe I'm now just thinking about Mask. It doesn't matter. Nora Ephron, you're going to heaven, man. No, you're going to heaven because of I'm a soft touch. I like movies. I like rom-coms. What can I tell you? You know what's interesting about that, though? I do like rom-coms, but I only love one of those three movies I just listed. I only love When Harry Met Sally. I don't love Sleepless in Seattle, and I don't love You've Got Mail. I've seen them both, but I don't. I think The Notebook. The Notebook is the one that I really love. But that's almost more. That doesn't lean so much on the calm, But there's calm in there. There's definitely calm in there. I don't know. I'm going to move on. It is time for me to watch The Notebook again, though. You guys ever seen The Notebook? I'm probably going to remake it. Remake it next year with like Jacob Elordi and Ariana Grande or some bullshit. I don't know. I like my Gosling. I like my Gosling and my, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Rachel McAdams. I like my Gosling and my McAdams. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, that's it. That's for the Deads. The Deads are all gone, folks. Once again, I'd like to thank today's executive producer. He is Peter. Peter was the big tipper yesterday. This show runs on your tips. If you feel so inclined to support this kind of talk radio, we do it every day, Monday through Friday, round about noon. Been doing it for 3 years. If it's your cup of tea, help us keep it on the air. Drop a little something in either the Cash App or the Venmo. It would be greatly appreciated. The biggest tipper of today's show will be the Peter of Tomorrow. That's a great name for a script. What movie you work? What script you working on? It's called The Peter of Tomorrow. That's pretty cool. All right, moving on. Let's talk about all of the things that are happening in the world. Look at us. We are going to be so late today. It took us 90 minutes to get through the first 3 quarters. Now, granted, I started late. I was started 10 minutes late, so maybe it took us 80 minutes. That's okay. I'm in no real hurry. What is Adam talking shit on The Notebook? Well, maybe not. I have to get caught up. I shouldn't react before actually reading. Yeah. Oh, he says yes. The Notebook is great, but she should have ended up with James Marsden. Yeah, he's Team Marsden. Shmi says The Notebook was good, but man, looking at it as an older female, dude was psycho. Yeah. Well, yeah, look, that's the dude. Problem. Say Anything, which is another amazing rom-com that would make my list of top 10s as a problematic dude by 2024 standards. That was not somebody. I mean, I can totally relate to why the father was not interested in John Cusack going off with Ione Scott. I get it. I understand it. There's a lot of things. We changed very quickly around 2019. The Me Too movement changed our sensibility. I just finished the binge of Entourage. Yeah, I'm finished. Can you believe that? I finished the whole binge of Entourage, and I'm like, man, everything looks the same. It all looks the same. It looks like if you throw an Entourage episode from 2008 in front of me or in front of you, you'll look at it and you'll go, when was that made? Last year? Year before? I mean, it looks the same. But the behavior is like completely different. And it was really striking to me in rewatching Entourage how much we've changed just in such a short period of time. What is that? What the dog just sighed? The dog's nose is on my foot, and she just let out a huge. So my foot got really wet and warm for a second. Yuck. All right, let's move on. Let's do all of the here. I'll put this up just so in case anybody wants to tip the show, they can help us out. Now let's get into everything that everybody's talking about. Supreme Court watch. We're on Supreme Court watch here. America's choice. Trump allies. I don't care about that. That's stupid. Supreme Court is trying to cram, their entire year's worth of work into like the final 2 weeks before they all go water skiing, or whatever it is that the Supreme Court's going to do now. That's why when we run through the history of the day, there were so many historical Supreme Court rulings, because this is the only time the Supreme Court really has an opinion on anything. There's like 3 times a year, right? And that's other than that, there's like nothing. Anyway, we're wrapping up the Supreme Court session for this term, this year. What did they do? There's a whole bunch. They got 10 massive decisions that they need to weigh in on. And they're thinking that it's probably going to have to be done by Friday, because none of these Supreme Court justices want to roll into the week of 4th of July. They want to call it quits, go home, and as I say, water ski or whatever, rock climb, whatever it is Supreme Court justices do, have flag wars with neighbors. That's what they want to get back to, their real life. So they've got 10 major issues stemming from everything from, how social media is allowed to operate, to how much immunity the president of the United States has, to the fate of people who were, imprisoned after January 6th. There are all kinds of really important Supreme Court decisions that we are now waiting on. And I don't know. I thought we'd get a dump. I thought we'd get at least 3 today. I don't know what we've seen. The only one that happened this morning was one on social media. The Supreme Court is going to allow the White House. The Supreme Court says that the White House does have the right to pressure social media companies to remove what it calls disinformation. Okay. Now, this is always the problem with Supreme Court rulings. How are we defining that, right? That's obscenity. That's the great Supreme Court ruling on pornography. We don't know what it is, but we can't define it, but we know what it is when we see it. That's even too nuanced for me. And I'm a guy who loves nuance and intellectual conversation. But how do you define it? What is one person? Pornography, offensive pornography to one person is one thing, and something the other. Anyway, so what we're talking about here now is disinformation. What this story is about is, and at least the right-wing people, everything's got a political bent to it. Right-wing side is saying that this is going to allow the White House to, by political pressure, silence and mute the voices of, the opposition party. And yeah, I suppose that is what could happen, but my understanding of it and the way that the Supreme Court interpreted it, by the way, how did they vote on this one? What was it, 5-4 again? I don't even know. I don't know. What the Supreme Court decided was that, yes, the White House, if the White House sees something that's starting to pick up steam that is disinformation, that is either against the interests of, whatever, security, domestic, tranquility, whatever that is, the Supreme Court is saying that, yes, it is legal for the White House to call Facebook and go, hey, get rid of this shit, because that was a big question. Here, let's see there. These are the biggest pending decisions. The immunity thing, that's the big one, where we want to know Biden to attack Trump as unfit of. Okay, whatever. I don't care. It is debate week. We're very excited about that. More on that to come. It says here, as the Supreme Court rushes to deliver the final decisions of its current term, justices face a pileup of cases that are sure to shape the presidential campaign and could upend the legal landscape in areas from abortion to air pollution to free speech on the internet. All right, let's get to these issues. Let's see. Here they are. Trump versus the United States. This is the immunity case. The blockbuster undecided case of the term could complicate or despite what anyway, that's the immunity. We want to hear about immunity. That's the big one. What's another one here that we're waiting on? Moyle versus the United States. Oh, emergency abortions. Okay, there are certain states that have decided that abortions are bad, and they think they're so bad that they're not even going to do abortions in the case of an emergency or saving the mother's life. There are states, we'll mention them here. There are states that are actually going, nah, we should be allowed to let the woman die because abortion, or whatever. So this is the case. The Supreme Court has to decide. Do they have to perform an abortion in an emergency situation? Which, to me, in my way of thinking, is it's like you always want to keep that window open. I mean, you're not saying that you're going to do abortions, but if it's an emergency situation, you should have that ability, especially if it comes down to saving the life of the mother, which is what this is about. The issue in Moyle versus the United States is whether hospitals in states with abortion bans are nonetheless required by federal law to perform emergency abortions. Idaho is the one arguing. Idaho argues that its hospitals shouldn't be forced to offer abortions under the Emergency Medical Treatment Act. Oh, see, they've made it political. And some poor woman who's losing her baby and is bleeding internally and, cannot possibly deliver this baby and live, that woman's now got to die because, abortion. Net Choice versus Paxton and Moody versus Net Choice. I don't know what this is. And another sign of social media giants' outsized influence on American society, litigation involving the companies now accounts for. I want to move on. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this. This is boring. I had a lot of Supreme Court decisions coming down. They did one this morning. They said that the White House can pressure Facebook and Twitter and social media companies into removing stuff that's nonsense. Supreme Court said it, so it must be true. All right. How about this one here? Ooh, Jamal Brown. This is hysterical. Jamal Brown is one of these ridiculous Congress people from New York. There's a number of them from New York, just as there's a number of them from Florida. There's a number of them from Texas. Let's be honest. There is a whole bunch. So Jamal Brown is he's one of these troublemaking. Well, they say he's a member of the Squad, but I thought the Squad was all chicks. I thought that was all women. I don't know who this guy is. This guy, I do know who this guy is. This is the idiot that pulled the fire alarm. Remember that? There was a vote that was taking too long. He needed to delay the proceedings or something like that. So this dude ran out into the hallway of Congress and pulled the fire alarm so that the vote would have to be suspended. Now he has paid the price for that. He was censured by the Congress, and then he also went in front of the legal charges, all that stuff. He got in trouble for it. He got in the appropriate trouble for it. Well, he should have been executed for that. No, he shouldn't. He should be embarrassed, and he should be fined. And we should all now know that he's that level of idiot. And the next time he runs, he should lose the primary, which is what he did. So it all worked out. But be careful what you wish for, man. You want the Jamal Brown guy, who's also very controversial because he's very pro-Gaza, very anti-Israel in New York, no less. Very pro-Israel in New York. That's going to be a problem, especially in Westchester County where he is. There's a significant Jewish population there, and he's Mr. Gaza. He's that guy. So he got his ass handed to him yesterday by, and this is where the be careful what you wish for comes in. He got his ass handed to him yesterday by another guy who's more pro-Israel, but he's a 100% Hillary Clinton dude. So, all right. Y'all realize that, we keep pushing all these crazy libs away. They're just going to be replaced by old Clinton cronies, more centrist. With the big banks behind them, they can run effective campaigns. We're just going to go back. We're going to have a good 15 years of all of this nonsense. We're going to have 15 years of the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes and Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Gaetzes, we're going to the Jamal Bowmans. We're going to have about 15 years of that before we all decide, you know what? All those lawyers that we hated before, let's bring them back. Let's just have a bunch of old men, lawyers and women. That's what we're going to do. Because we're learning that Pilates instructors are probably not the best people to elect to Congress. George Santos. I mean, come on, man. Can we stop it with these clowns? So Jamal Bowman, who's the guy that beat him? The dude that beat him's got a lazy eye. This is how damaged this idiot Jamal Bowman was. Latimer is the dude's name. The Hillary Clinton guy is Latimer. He smoked him. This Latimer guy's got a lazy eye. And he won. I don't know how. Seriously. Oh, God, there are no rules to politics anymore. Look, I come from the age when a guy named Howard Dean was running away with the Democratic primary. And then in a victory celebration, this dude on mic made a noise that sounded funny, and we never heard from him again. Never again. We never heard from Howard Dean again after he went, "Arr!" That's it. That was it. He was winning. People liked him. People were like, oh, this Howard Dean guy, was he governor of Connecticut or something? Where did he come from? I'm going to vote for him. He seems like someone I like. And then he goes, "Arr!" And everybody goes, he seems like someone I would like. What the fuck was that? What is this? What is this weirdo making noises? We can't have politicians making noise. I mean, that's where I come from. So now we're in a place where there are no rules about what these people can be, what they can say. We used to be really strict. George Latimer, pro-Israeli centrist backed by Hillary Clinton with a lazy eye. We're just electing people with lazy eyes. What's next? Face tattoos? Are we going to have somebody in Congress in the next couple of years with a face tattoo? Let's go. Well, why you got a problem with that, Pugs? Why you got what? A regular man can't be a member of Congress? No, regular man can't. Sorry, dummy. When I need my pipes fixed, I'm going to call a union plumber. When I have a broken tooth, I'm going to go to a dentist. When I need a heart transplant, I'm going to go to a heart surgeon. Not a Pilates instructor who, won the vote to do my heart surgery. This is an important thing. We just need to get back to We need to get back to where we look at people who are serious individuals of accomplishment. Not, I'm a mom in Colorado. Not that. I'm sorry. That's not an accomplishment. Lorena Boebert. Where'd this Jamal guy come from anyway? Anyway, I'm hoping that this era of the Pilates instructor deciding, foreign policy is going to be over in a couple of years. And we'll be back to Georgetown, Harvard, and Yale D-bags. Nah, that's not all. I'm fine. If you in Nebraska, if you in Arkansas, if you in Wyoming, if you in Illinois, if you want to produce some natural homegrown kid and you send them off to the school, I don't care. We can have a president from the University of Indiana. I don't mean to keep it with the elites. All I'm saying is, how about smart people? How about smart, educated people in charge? Instead of, again, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Who I used to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't have any fears about her because she ain't got no power. Well, guess what? She got all kinds of power now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an influential person. That's what we've done to this country. Thankfully, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez still has no power. She has no power. She has net clout. She's got, Insta clout or whatever, but she doesn't actually have power because, well, first of all, she's in the minority party, and so she doesn't have any prime positions on councils or any kind of committees, and she certainly doesn't chair anything. She's not. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like chairing committees, and she banned like a year ago. Remember, she will never be on a committee. Would she get her GED? You know what? You can get a GED and be smart. Yeah, you can, but not if you're Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not smart. I've got more to go on with her than the fact that she has her GED. Yes, people who get GEDs can be very smart. But that's not what I've seen from her. And the fact that she got a GED, which I don't even know if it's true. I think it is. Wait, is it Lorena Boebert? No, I think it's Boebert who doesn't even have a GED. Yeah, I think that there's somebody in, guys, do you realize there's somebody in Congress who doesn't even have the I quit and give up diploma? Like that's like, you just get that. That's like not even, all you got to do is go stand in line somewhere on a Saturday and you can get that. Boebert doesn't even have that. It couldn't be wasted. She's a congresswoman. And now we got this crazy Jamal Bowman guy pulling fire alarms, saying stupid shit like terrorists are cool, which he didn't say, but that's kind of the vibe he gave off. You got this guy, he loses to old lazy eye Hillary Clinton, man. So now we got that. Look at this guy here. You got to see this guy. You got to see this guy. This is the guy that won. There are no rules. And I'm not making fun of people with the lazy eye. That's not it. I am making fun of this particular dude who is a garbage Hillary Clinton, another same old, same old. Got the Israeli money behind him. That's, he's got that big donor class there in Westchester County that they tapped into. Where I got to see a picture of this guy. How come I can't find a good picture of him? Oh, all right, here we go. Yikes. Is this him? Latimer. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at this guy. This is the guy who beat Bowman. Ugh, stupid. I hate this. Sorry. Don't worry, guys. I'm in no hurry. We're gonna do a full show today. We'll do more than a full show. We just started the hot topics portion. Okay. All right, look at this guy. All right, look at that guy right there. Hold on. Oh, really? You can give me a pop-up? You mother fudger. All right, there he is. Look at him. I don't know. Can you see that guy? Do you know who he looks like? I don't know if you can see him or not, but this is who he looks like. Do you ever see Cannonball Run? Do you remember the Cannonball Run movie where they were trucking around an elephant in the back of an ambulance and there was like an elephant proctologist doctor back there? He looks like the elephant proctologist doctor from Cannonball Run. Let's see if we get some other pictures of him. Let's see here. Anyway, he's the new congressman. What's this? Nah, I hate Google. God, I hate Google pictures. They absolutely suck. All right, there you have it. Anyway, Jamal Bowman. He's gone. He's gone. So the right is celebrating. But I say, man, don't celebrate that he's gone, dude, because you just got like a Hillary Clinton lackey. That's who George Latimer is. What else happened here? MAGA took it across the chin in a whole bunch of elections around the country yesterday. I think they won 1 of 7. All right, whatever. That doesn't mean anything. Look, do you guys know what the cult of personality is? You think Donald Trump, just because if Donald Trump points to a guy and goes, I like him, he should run, that doesn't mean people vote for him. The only guy that the MAGA is interested in is Trump. He's the only one. He's the guy. You guys got he's getting your votes. But you don't really take his word. You don't like, because everybody that the same people who vote for Trump religiously do not vote for these people that he says vote for. That's very interesting. That is the cult of personality. It is him. He is the personality that has all the power in this thing, and it doesn't really transfer to others, which is going to be interesting in the post-Trump MAGA era, because MAGA is an entity now that is strong. There is money in the coffers. It can continue on as a political party. And that may be what eventually it is in 50 years. There is no Republican Party. There's just MAGA or Democrats. And maybe at that point, we'll start to see a couple other parties. Who knows? But the point is this. What happens when he's gone? Right? Because right now, what we're seeing is, and we've seen this in elections since 2016, Trump-endorsed candidates lose far more often than they win. They don't get his turnout. When he's on the ballot and he's running, people turn out to vote for him because he is the cult of personality. He's the one that people trust and he's the one that people like. But when you can't sort of transfer that to others around you, or when it isn't quite as effective as maybe other politicians have shown it to be in the past, then you got a problem with the heir apparent. And oh my goodness, that's going to be a fist fight. I mean, that's going to be ugly. Like politics 2028, right? Let's say, well, maybe how old is Trump? He's going to be 80, 2028, that's 4 years from now. Let's say like politics in 2035. What's that going to, like, who are the guys that have risen to the top, or the women who have risen to the top of MAGA, who are now in charge? I don't know. Frankie says, I don't get Republicans. I don't get Republicans. I elected rhinos and establishment candidates, but like Trump. See, Frankie, you can't be using terms rhinos. That just tells me that you listen to what you didn't come up with the phrase rhino. Rhino is you're parroting dogma, man. Stop it. Get away from that. You like Trump. That's good. You found somebody that you like. Just stop playing the game. Stop using those words. Stop. Oh my God. I love Frank. Yeah, I don't have a problem. Like, if you like it, I hate the dogma. Political parties demand that you memorize the dogma, and you got to say things like woke, and you got to call people rhinos, and these are all political words that come from this part of our culture that is just so branded in our political ideologies. I am first and foremost a Republican, or whatever you are, however that is. Man, that's awful. That is such a fucked up tribe to want to be a part of. Man, not the Republicans, political parties in general is a fucked up tribe for people to define themselves almost exclusively by. And that's where we find ourselves in this world. Find ourselves in a world where everybody is branded exclusively by whether they wear a red hat or a blue hat. Fuck, the Dems, the stupid libs, they're not even smart enough to market hats. At least the other side, they got uniforms. Not the Dems. All right, moving on. Anyway, bad day for the squad, bad day for MAGA yesterday. Evan Gershkowitz, I want to probably say his name right, although I don't know how I feel about this guy. I got to think this through. This is the Wall Street Journal reporter who was arrested a couple of years ago in Russia, in the Ural Mountains. He was there theoretically on a story doing some journalism, and he was arrested by local, Russian authorities and accused of being a spy. He spent the last year in a prison, in a Russian prison. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkowitz, probably heard his name before. That's who we're talking about here. He's standing trial now. He's on trial. What does it say about him? I don't know what I think about this guy, because I remember, and I think I forgot. Like, I read something and I had a really strong opinion about this Gershkowitz case, but I don't remember what that strong opinion was, because it was obviously not as strong as I thought. A United States journalist goes on trial in Russia on espionage charges that he and his employer deny. That's the Wall Street Journal. And by what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that I think that he is a spy or that he's guilty. I'm saying there's something about this story that I cannot recall right now that really resonated with me, that I had a real strong opinion on. Let's reinvestigate, shall we? Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkowitz went on trial behind closed doors in Yekaterinburg on Wednesday, 15 months after his arrest in the Russian city on espionage charges that he, his employer, and the United States government vehemently deny. Well, the United States government's going to go, the government's going to be like, yeah, you caught one of our spies. Good job, man. Good job. The 32-year-old journalist appeared in the court in a glass cage. Oh, they do that over there. They put the defendants in a glass cage. Like everybody's Hannibal Lecter. Doesn't matter. Slaughtered your family, Hannibal Lecter treatment. Parking tickets, Hannibal Lecter treatment. They don't play over there. Authorities arrested Gersowitz on March 29th, 2023, while on a reporting trip to Yekaterinburg in the Ural Mountains, and claimed, without offering any evidence, that he was gathering secret information for the U.S. Russia has signaled the possibility. I just remembered what this is about. I just remembered what I knew. Yeah. So they didn't offer any info, but they arrested him because he was like lurking around. He got caught lurking around some like military base or something like that. I don't know. You can look into it. Anyway, he's going on trial. I'm sure it'll be a fair trial because Putin's a good man. Because Vladimir Putin, I'd rather have Putin than Biden. That's who I am. That's how dumb I am. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a fair trial. I fucking hate you Putin lovers, man. You people aren't Americans. My Cold War heart rages, thirsts for battle against you. You Putin loving, you Russian loving. But Ukraine, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can still think that the Ukraine is fucked up and corrupt and believe all of that shit while simultaneously recognizing that Vladimir Putin is a complete piece of shit human. You can do both. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that? You can do both. You can believe all the stuff that you want to believe, the Hannity and the Tucker and all that stuff about Ukraine. You can believe that. It might be true. I don't know. It might be true. You can believe that. That's fine. But just please, would you also just at the same time be like, yeah, and Putin's a fucking monster of a piece of shit, and we should put a bullet in his head the first opportunity somewhere in the world that it's granted us. Although now don't we have him pinned in? Because isn't he like trapped there? Because isn't there like warrants out for him? Right? Wasn't there like a world court thing? I don't even know. Putin, hate that guy. I'm Gen X, man. I was crafted during the Cold War. Trying to give me that bullshit. You know what I liked? I liked Gorbachev. Why? Because I'm open-minded. Gorbachev, Glasnost. I was a big fan of Glasnost. Glasnost was Gorbachev's new opening to the West theory of relations, and let's stop being hard asses and let's say, hey, can we come there? You should come here. That was his whole attitude. I liked him. And then he went down and they put in old Boris Yeltsin, and he was just drunk the whole time and did nothing. And he was there when all of the oligarchs became oligarchs because they started robbing the country blind. And then after they robbed the country blind, everybody got their pitchforks and torches and they chased Yeltsin out. And that's how we now have the totalitarian and authoritarian-minded Putin. That's the history of Russia. So no, I do not think that Evan Gershkovich is going to get a fair trial over there. But also at the same time, what was he doing? What was he doing? Snooping around there. What were you doing? Just tell me, Evan. Evan, we're both Americans. I want to believe. What were you doing there? That's all. That's all. And we'll find out, I'm sure. Because as I said, Putin will give him a fair trial. All right, keep going. Let's see here. Oh, Biden went deep. God damn it, dog. You got to move. The dog is right next to my foot. Okay, here's the problem. The dog is next to my foot. I'm not wearing shoes or socks. I have a toenail. I swear to God, I have a toenail that I could cut beef with. I could butcher a cow with one of my toenails. That's how weird and sharp and edgy it is. So this stupid dog is like using that particular toe as a pillow. So every time I move my foot, involuntarily or however, I'm afraid that I'm just going to slice her wide open with my crazy butcher toe. All right, but we will calm down. We'll keep this going. Wait, what was I saying? Biden went deep. Gays in the military. So here's the deal. This is what Biden did yesterday. So here's what Biden does yesterday. So it's an election year, so obviously he's trying to, he's trying to shore up, who is absolutely going to vote for him, because the gays in this country, they ain't going to vote for Trump. I mean, some will, like the weird gays will, but most gays, like rank and file gays, look, I'll put it to you this way: if there's 100 gays in America, All right. 92 of them are voting for Biden. That's just how I think. That's just the eight. There's eight but obviously there's more than 100 gays. It's like 100 million or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. But you know what I'm saying? I think the vast majority of gays, the Will and Grace gays, let's call it that. The vast majority of Will and Grace Modern Family gays are voting for Biden. Okay? We've got that. So he's just got to shore that vote up. And he did that yesterday. What he did was, if you were a gay dude who got kicked out of the military, like dishonorably discharged for doing gay dude stuff, that's bad. That's rough on you. Like, let's say 1994, you're like, getting squirrely with another dude in the bunk somewhere and you get caught. You're on a sub in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. It's cold. Hey, look, I fault no man for seeking comfort where he can, but I'm just saying, 1994, you're doing that. All of a sudden, you get caught. Guess what? Your life is basically over because 1994, and you're about to be dishonorably discharged from the military. Do you know what being dishonorably discharged from the military does to you? I don't know, but I hear it's really bad. And so there's been a whole bunch of dudes over time who have been dishonorably discharged by the military for being gay. And nobody ever went back and looked at that. I mean, wouldn't that be a nice thing to have off your record? I mean, if you are 75, I got caught being gay in Vietnam, I don't care how old you are. Still get it off your record. It's a stupid thing. If you can be gay in the military now, anyway, we got to take care of the people that we were wrongfully punitive towards. And there's a whole class of people. And Biden took care of him yesterday. Good for him. Signed the thing. If you were gay in the 70s, this is for you or whatever. I don't know. It was a nice gesture. I mean, it seems like the right thing to do. Look, that just objectively seems like the right thing to do. Again, what do you care? If you want to care, if you have a little compassion for people, you could be like, yeah, man, that's kind of shitty how that dude has had to carry that dishonorably discharged thing around his neck his entire life. That sucks for him. Maybe it would be nice to now make sure that he can die with that. That's all it was. That's all. It's not. Biden's making the Army gay again. The Army's been gay for 20 years. The Navy's been gay since World War II. Who are you kidding? Let's see here. So gay Army pardons. All right, we can cut that off the list. Debate is tomorrow. 24 hours to the debate. Okay, we're gonna touch on this every single day until we get to the debate night itself, which is tomorrow. Do we have any plans? Are you doing anything? I don't know. I've had a couple of people say, you want to go out and watch it? And I'm like, not really, no. All right, you know what I want to watch it in my house. I want to watch it on my TV. I want to be able to listen to it. I'd like to be able to pause it if I can and go back and watch things again. So I'm very excited. It is very exciting. Now, I also know, and if you've been listening to this show over the last couple of days, you know that I 100% believe that the debate is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I've got two things going on with me right now. I've got that part of me that knows that the debate is not going to happen. And then I've got an equally powerful part inside of me that can't wait for it to happen. However, we all know it's not going to happen. Again, it's not going to happen because there is no political advantage that I can see for Donald Trump in doing this debate. None. Zero. The only thing, he's coming up to the plate. He's got to hit a home run. That's it. That's all he can do. He's got to hit a home run. Here's why. And he could win without doing this, is my point. There is nothing to gain from him. The Trump people are already there. What he really wants to do to solidify a victory against Biden in November is that he wants to make some sort of an impression on those middle people, the centrists, maybe lapsed Republicans, never Trumpers, whoever it is, Haley voters, the more mainstream centrist-minded people who have never felt comfortable with the hostility and aggression of MAGA. Those are the people that he needs to impress. I don't think he's going to be able to do it in this format. I think that those people have already made their mind up about him. I think that all that is served here, if Trump shows up, is that Biden wins people. I think it's Biden who's standing to benefit if Trump shows up. And besides, it's CNN. already I'm hearing Trump spots on TV saying stuff like, well, they made him do all these rules. And then the CNN people are firing right back. No, there were days worth of negotiations and all your people signed off on this and half of them are your people's ideas. And so there's pushback, but there's already laying the groundwork for the idea that this isn't fair, which provides a little bit of premature cover for tomorrow when he doesn't show up. When he doesn't show up, because that's how mercurial this man is. He could go to bed tonight, and prep all night. Like they'd be prepping all night. Are you ready, sir? Do you got it, sir? Are you comfortable? I'm comfortable. Let's do this. And then he goes to bed, and he can wake up in the morning and be like, "Yeah, I don't want to do it," and that's it. And that's what I think is more. If I was running the Trump campaign, I would say, look, dude, do you want the next 24 hours of news to be about how you didn't show up and then you get an opportunity to respond why and you get to blast your opponents and all that stuff? Or do you want to show up, possibly, provide more ammo for your enemies to say, oh, this is, look at how he said this stupid thing. Point is, it's lose-lose for him, I think. It's lose-lose for him. Biden needs him to show up because this is good for Biden. Not that Biden's better than him one-on-one. I don't know. That's I want to see. It's not about who's better one-on-one. It's about the people who are watching. Biden, if Biden just stays calm, he's going to win those never-Trumpers and independents and centrists who don't like the aggressive, abusive nature of MAGA. And if Biden just shows up and, he goes all MAGA and he goes Trump, he'll be able to just demonstrate. See, folks, see what I'm talking about? That's a win for Biden. Trump doesn't need to be providing that to him. Trump cannot show up, say they're all jerks and screw you, CNN, have no shame about not showing up. Trump can do that and then see like a 5-point bump in the polls. That's how it works for him. The people who love him, this is the shit that they love about him, that he's a no fucks to give guy and that he's not like a traditional politician. That's his magic. That's his secret sauce. I don't fucking care. Now, where I differ with these men, I find that very appealing as well. I enjoy that aspect of his personality to a great degree. But where I differ with Trump people is that when they're like, yeah, and he really cares about us, I'm like, no, he doesn't. What? What's wrong with you? No, he's enjoyable. And, I like the way he tells people to shut up and, a bunch of idiots. He doesn't take any bullshit, crazy lefty nonsense. I like that about him. Those are all things that are cool. But he doesn't like you. He doesn't care about you. This is all about him and his brand and his money and who, he's going to be in history. So that's what I see. That's my problem with him. And Biden is just some goddamn pancake just sitting there going, ugh. In 2016, we looked at Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. We all turned to each other and said, are you fucking kidding me with this shit? This is the best that we can do. That was 2016. It was the 2 other elections since that was 2016. 2020, we came up with nobody. 2024, here we are coming up with nobody. Who's running next time? Is it going to be Hillary Clinton versus Trump again? Or I don't know, whatever. There ain't going to be a debate. Remember, there ain't going to be a debate. But oh my God, if there is a debate, it's going to be so good. It's going to be good. Trump's going to be so much fun. I'm going to just come in and... All right, let's see. What else do we have? East Palestine. Remember the East Palestine? East Palestine. Easy for me to say. East Palestine, Ohio. Remember they had the train derailment last year and it was going to be the end of the world? The North Koreans blew up the train. Oh my God, I love it how crazy people get. Anyway, we're a while away from that and they're trying to figure out exactly what caused it. Now, the big problem in East Palestine, that Ohio train derailment, if you recall, it wasn't so much the derailment, it was the decisions made by the train and chemical company. It was decisions made by the railroad and the chemical company in the days and weeks that followed the derailment that caused the problem. And that was the venting of all of this toxic vinyl liquid. The trains that derailed were carrying... What are you doing? Go. Get out of here. Go. You need to go. Yeah, you can't just sit there. You're just going to have a contemplative... That's good. You can lay down. They were carrying this vinyl liquid, this very toxic vinyl liquid, and they were afraid that it was going to ignite. They were afraid that after the train derailed, that this stuff could go up and you'd have this massive, massive plume and fire, and it'd hellish. It would be awful. So that's what they were trying to avoid. So what they decided to do was to vent the toxins. So basically just let them all out, like the gas, just let them out into the atmosphere before they have a chance to explode. And of course, what that did was, pollute the air with this toxic chemical gas that covered Pennsylvania and Ohio for like weeks and months, and the cattle were dying in the duck. So that's what's happening here. Here, I'll tell you the latest on that, as a matter of fact. AP News reports that, by the way, what is this? Is this Norfolk? Norfolk? Hold on a second. Oh, here's another fun fact about this story. So they know why it derailed. It's like we're past why it derailed. Like, that's not the question. Why did it derail? It wasn't North Korean terrorists. Apparently on these trains, the wheels have sensors in them, and the sensors correspond to sensors that are in the track. And if a wheel on a train begins to get too hot, it's supposed to send an alert to the sensor in the track, which then sends an alert to the person driving the train that, hey, you need to slow down. You got a wheel that's about to bust into flames. And that sensor did not work. And a wheel busted into flames, and there was a small explosion in the car that busted into flames, and the train derailed. All of the cars that were carrying this toxic vinyl stuff, they didn't break open. They weren't on fire. There was fear that they could catch fire. So a decision was made in the moments and days after the derailment to vent the toxins into the air of Ohio. Okay, so that's the issue. NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board chair, says that Norfolk Southern, the railroad, interfered with derailment probe after botching their vent and burn call. It was a vent the air and burn off the toxic stuff. That's what they wanted to do. Now, they did it. And we saw all the problems. For the weeks after this derailment, we were covering stories about dead fish and, crops that are busted out and all these things that were a problem because of all of this toxic shit that was sent up into the air. Why? Because of the derailment. That's what the railroad company wanted you to think. The railroad company, it was an accident, the derailment, and all of this stuff, because we can't help it. Sometimes trains derail. That was the railroad's sort of point of view. But that's not what happened. The stuff got vented. They did it on purpose because they were afraid it would blow up. Any, lesser of two evils, I suppose. But then once you vent it, you're supposed to burn it off immediately, and they didn't do that, and so you had all of these problems. Now, we know that's what happened. That's why the fish died. That's why the cattle died. That's why people got sick. That's why we don't know. 5 years from now, maybe everybody's got leukemia. Who knows? We don't know yet. So we know that happened. But what this is about is that the railroad themselves tried to cover up. There was an investigation by the NTSB into what happened. The railroad themselves tried to cover up in the early goings of the investigation that they themselves, the railroad, had ordered the venting. They tried to make it look like it wasn't their fault and that this occurred after the derailment. And so that's what they're in trouble for. So, if that makes any sense. It's just, here's all it is. It's just a big company that's worth billions and billions of dollars that did a lot of damage to a whole bunch of middle-class worker bees, people whose lives will probably never be the same, farmers whose land will never be usable, at least not for a generation. A big, giant company is responsible for that. That's all. And the government got it right, I think. They're like, yeah, screw you. You guys tried to cover that up. You did it on purpose. What a judgment like this and what a determination like this does is it opens the door for civil action. So now you can have a class action suit and all the people affected. We could be talking about tens of thousands of people. They sell this or they sue this company. What was that movie? It was the Julia Roberts movie. The big civil action lawsuits? That's how this works. Anyway, good luck to the people of East Palestine, because some big super rich company. And I know the person who made the decision was some dude who probably makes $85,000 a year and he's a foreman who works in the middle of the night at a train depot in East Palestine, right? I know he's not in the big giant. His bosses are, though. The people who run that company and will make all of that money, they're in the big giant skyscraper corner offices in Manhattan. Those are the people who are hurt most when you get sued into oblivion by a class action. Why, just ask Alec Jones. All right, how about this one? Here's another story that we will revisit. Remember this? Let me show you this guy. What was his name? Luis something or other. He was the head of soccer in Spain. Remember this guy? He's the head of soccer in Spain. So he's kind of like, I don't know, the commissioner of soccer or whatever. The Spanish. Hold on. Oh, yeah. The Spanish women won the World Cup. They were being welcomed by the, I don't know, dignitaries of Spain, one of which was the president of Spanish soccer. One of the champion girls comes up and he's very excited and he hugs her and he kisses her. And the world gets outraged. And as we all recall, a couple of days later, he was executed publicly in the town square for being a pedophile. No, that's not what happened. Oh, this is what happened. All right. So you remember this guy? Here, I'll show it to you. This guy who, and I don't know anything about this dude. I ain't making no excuses for this guy. I don't know dick about this guy. He's the head of Spanish soccer. What does that tell me? That tells me that he's probably a pretty together guy who's got a life outside of this. He's probably got a family. He's probably got a wife. He's got kids. He's probably worked really hard and at an apex level to achieve the rank of president of Spanish soccer, by the age of, I don't know what age he is. All I'm saying is this is not some fucking guy in a trench coat jerking off in an alley when the girls get dropped off by the school bus. But they tried to make him that, and that's what. So anyway, let's watch this. Remember, the girls. He's the president of Spanish soccer, and the Spanish women have just won the World Cup. It's a really big deal, and this is what he did, just to...
The president of the Spanish Football Federation has been slammed for this. Luis Rubiales kissed World Cup winner Jenny Hermoso on the lips during the medal ceremony. She said afterwards she did not enjoy that, but Rubiales rejected suggestions it was inappropriate.
Yeah, you and me both. Look, maybe inappropriate. All right, look, you know what? I should probably not. Inappropriate by 2024 standards, absolutely. That's inappropriate. But, it's Europe. It's Spain. Those people kiss all the time. They are kiss culture. Okay. So that's why, I'm a little bit shocked. Like, I could see if that happened in, I don't know, San Francisco, at, some soccer tournament where it's, American girls are all, this is Spain. Spain is everybody gets kissed on the lips or on the cheek, that kind of thing. There was nothing sexual about that kiss that I saw. That was celebratory. That is just, I think if you're going to be judged a predator, did he do something inappropriate? Yeah, probably. Is he going to do it again? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, guys. You can't do that anymore. Oh my God, I come from a different time. See, to me, that looks totally normal. That's not predatory. There are predators out there, by the way, but let's not look for them right now. Let's focus on fucking this guy's life up forever, by the way, because this guy is never gonna be anything other than the predator who attacked that beautiful girl after her greatest moment. They destroyed this man's life. This man's career was over because of that. Let's watch it one more time. We live in a world of Harvey Weinstein, right? We know what the real bad guys do. But sometimes there's not a story in that genre to occupy our time. So we have to look to other areas. Like, is that bad? Is that bad? Can we talk about that? Let's make that the top story. This guy kissed her. That's it. He didn't slip her tongue. He didn't touch her. He didn't hold her inappropriately long. It was like he grabbed her face and kissed her. You know who I kiss like that? My 15-year-old son. I kiss like that. Oh, you're fantastic. I love you. That's what that was. Should he have done it? No, I guess not. Honestly, cooler minds prevailing. I guess 2024, you can't do that. 1994, maybe. 2004, probably. 2014, now I'm getting more. But 2024, definitely. You just can't do that. Are you a criminal who deserves to have your entire life destroyed, your entire career trajectory upended? Honestly, I don't know what his career trajectory was going to be. He's already the president of Spanish football. Well, how about FIFA? Maybe that was his thing. He's like, yeah, I was going to leave my term as president of Spanish Federation Football, and I was going to take a big job at FIFA. Not anymore. Not anymore. His shit is done. All for that. It was harmless. What was done to him was unnecessary. Now, like I said, I don't know him. In his real life, might he be, kind of a creep and all that stuff? Maybe, but that's not what's on trial here. What we are forced to react to is that video that we just watched of a man who is in charge of a sporting organization at the national level welcoming the women who just won the World Cup, which, by the way, is a huge fucking deal in Spain. Soccer's big there. What is the intent of the action? Was his action intended to belittle her, to make her feel small, to steal some sort of sexual satisfaction from her without her consent? Was that his intent? No, not even remotely. His intent was basically to give her as much love and support and compassion and thanks. And isn't this wonderful? Look at what we've done as a team together. That's what that was. I don't know about you. That doesn't get me hard. It's not sexual. But, she's a young woman in 2024, and she was probably shook to her very core by that. How on earth could she ever survive? How can she go on? How can she ever have a normal relationship with a man again? That's what I push back on. I push back on that bullshit. So let's find out what the latest is about this guy. God, I didn't read this story, so I'm really hoping that it doesn't turn out that, he's been accused of raping. I hope that ain't it. Top Spanish court rules that kiss without consent is, in fact, sexual assault. Yeah, it's getting even worse for him. A Spanish court has now ruled that what he did was sexual assault. Here you go. Guys, warning, I don't want anybody to be disturbed here. I'm about to show you a very graphic sexual assault. I hope YouTube doesn't take down my video. Let's do this one more time. Guys, here we go. I'm sorry. Spanish court has ruled this is sexual assault, so I have to warn you. We're going to be watching some sexual assault taking place here. Oh, my God. Oh, I can already tell how awful this is going to be. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I can't. I just can't. I'm sorry. I can't. Yeah. And I consider myself, to a great degree, to be an ally of any number of people who feel put upon. But not this. Not this. I'm not going to cotton to this kind of bullshit where we're just executing people's good names simply because it's a story that'll get clicks. This is the kind of thing people are talking about now. We should do this story and people will get clicks. And then when you blow him up, suddenly he's famous. Suddenly we all know the name of the president of Spanish soccer because he's one of the bad guys. Spain's Supreme Court on Tuesday ruled that a kiss without tacit consent can be considered sexual assault. Just months before, former Football Federation chief Luis Rubiales, former, because, that got him fired. He's probably been with the organization for 25 years. Yeah, I started as an intern at 14, and now I'm president. Oh, now my career's over? What'd you do? Did you play grab ass with a secretary, in the back office? No, that's not what I did. Did you get caught with a prostitute? Paid for a call girl with a company credit card? What did you do? No, didn't do anything like that. The Supreme Court upheld a lower court's ruling from the southern region of Andalusia, which convicted a police officer of a sexual assault and sentenced him to 1 year and 9 months in jail for kissing a woman on the cheek who was in police custody. That is completely different than the situation that this poor guy, Luis Rubiales, is being put into. Yes, I would say it could be construed as some form of sexual assault if a police officer, while having a person in custody, decides to start kissing them when they're in handcuffs. Yeah. See, because there's a power dynamic that is very well defined. Police police officer, criminal in handcuffs in the moment. One person has all the power and the other has none. So I can absolutely see that. And then you might argue, well, she was just a player on the Spanish team and he was the president of the Spanish football organization. There was a power dynamic. Oh, shut up. That's the height of disingenuous bullshit. You can't compare that power dynamic in that very public moment to a cop and someone they've arrested in the privacy of a jail cell, which is what this is. So stop it. It's not the same thing. A stolen kiss, and thus without express or implied consent, constitutes sexual assault in actuality, the court said, adding that it is clear that the fleeting contact of a non-consensual kiss represents a bodily invasion. Technically, I suppose. Technically, I suppose, but God. I'm not someone who hates the world. I was reading a thread today on Facebook where it was just a bunch of people who are like my age, and they were talking about the oughta girl, who, by the way, we're going to get into here in a minute. They were talking about the oughta girl, and they're like, I hate that she's famous, and I just can't stand, just kill me. I hate this world. And I'm reading this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not like that. I go, I'm reading all these people I went to high school with. I'm like, I'm not like that. That person sucks. I don't like that attitude. But shit like this, this tells me that, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is something wrong with the world. Luis Rubiales. Wonder what he's doing now. Wonder what life is like. Is he like shuffle? Because he's got money. He's got a lot of money. If the president of Spanish Union Soccer loses his job, understand that he's not out on the street the next time rent comes due. Okay, he's still got millions of dollars. It's in the bank. He probably made ridiculous amounts of money. It's probably a very well-paid job. So he's fine. So what's he been doing for the last year? I bet he lives in some fantastic Barcelona penthouse, and he's just shuffling around he's shuffling around the house with a bowl of cereal, and he's wearing a bathrobe. He's got really bad bedhead all the time and a beard, like it's totally growing out. He's given up. And why wouldn't he? He was victimized. The other thing that I really hate about that is that there's pure joy in his face. There's no scary, pervy guy. He is legitimately just so excited that the Spanish girls have just won the World Cup. He's not trying to be mean or scary. Intent. Once again, what was his intent? Was his intent to yield the power that he has over her for his own sexual gratification? No, that wasn't his intent at all. That's the real crime. That's where it becomes a problem, when your intentions become something that is detrimental to someone else. His intention was to basically make her feel fantastic. Look what you've done with this athlete. I can talk about it forever. Let's talk about VinFast. You guys know what VinFast is? VinFast is a new company that trending today. They're doing the thing that I said that other people should do. Here, I'll show you what VinFast is. VinFast is a company that makes electric cars. VinFast is a Vietnamese company. That's right. They're from Vietnam. Vietnam's in the car game. They're actually building a $5 billion factory in North Carolina. The VinFast factory. Do you know what VinFast is doing? This could be a hit, people. This could be a hit. I just said this the other day, but I've been saying this for years. VinFast is making electric cars. That's right. We're seeing all of it. We're seeing Lumen. We're seeing Rivian. We're seeing all these electric cars. Tesla having problems. We're seeing all these big electric car companies having problems, not reaching sales goals, needing to take loans, needing to get bailed out, bankruptcies in the case of some of them. All of these. Now, what do all of these troubled electric vehicle companies have in common? Well, I'll tell you, they're all $100,000 vehicles. They all flooded the super rich people who was looking for a third car that's fun and interesting. That's what the Tesla is to the rich guy. Only rich people can afford Teslas. So to the rich guy, the Tesla is very much, I'm going to get one of these. It's going to be fun. It's going to be their fun third car, their little electric car. That's what happened with Tesla. Now, every other car manufacturer that builds electric vehicles over the last 15 years decided they were also going to target that market. Now, I don't know if that was by design or if it's just by the nature of the electric vehicle game now that these cars are too expensive to produce. So the bottom line is that they're all going to be like $100,000. Maybe that's the case. But I've been saying for a long time that if you can start cranking out an electric car for under $20,000, you just sell an electric car for $20,000. I'm telling you, every recent college graduate, every high school kid, every mom, every single mom, whatever, people will buy that car. Whatever the least expensive new car, do you know this? Whatever the least expensive new car is of the year is almost always the number one selling car of that year. And you see more of them on the street. That's why you see, I used to drive a Cavalier. A Cavalier was an entry-level Chevy. Now I think there's a whole bunch of other cars below the Cavalier. But in the 90s, the Chevy Cavalier was an entry-level Chevy. You saw it everywhere. Everybody had a Cavalier. Why? Because they were the most inexpensive car. America will buy something that they can depend on, something that's still under warranty. America will snatch that stuff up if it's a car, right? As long as it's at a price that's decent. Because for some reason, cars are all expensive. I mean, even, what did you get? You got a new Toyota Sentra? It's still expensive. It's not something you still have to finance in most cases. Anyway, my point is this. The first person that makes an electric car that is affordable to the average person, maybe the recent college graduate or whatever, the first person that does that, I think, is going to be the pioneers in the electric vehicle world. Not Tesla. Nobody gives a shit what a bunch of Silicon Valley D-bags are driving. If you can get a bunch of people who just live in neighborhoods, driving electric cars, then what will you have? You'll have a demand for electric vehicle charging stations. Now you'll start to see those popping up. Why don't we see electric vehicle charging stations? That's always whenever I talk about electric cars, because I don't really have a dog in this hunt. I don't care. And I would drive an electric car. I would drive a regular car. So I'm not like advocating for, electric cars. It is something that's happening, and I'm just observing what I've seen over the past few years. The reason that people say that electric cars will never take off in America, a reason, chief among them, is always, there's just no infrastructure. There's no powering stations. It's been 20 years and nobody's doing powering stations. There should be an electric vehicle charging station every place there's a gas station. And you're right. When you say that, you're right. But why hasn't that happened in 20 years? Hasn't happened in 20 years because electric vehicles were only being sold to super rich people. Super rich people who live in nice neighborhoods. There is no rank and file working class electric vehicle. As I say, if everybody had one, then suddenly you would have demand for these charging stations. But most rich people who drive a Tesla or a Rivian, you know what they have? They have the home charging ports. The thing charges in their own garage. They don't have to worry about going out. Because they're rich, because they can pay for that. A regular person, a nurse who's grinding for extra shifts and she's got 2 kids, she's divorced. That nurse, she needs dependable transportation. She's going to probably need to charge that thing up somewhere. Enter Vietnam's VinFast. VinFast is selling electric vehicles. Like I said, I told you, they're building a $5 billion factory there in North Carolina. VinFast is selling brand new electric vehicles for $10,000. $10,000 American, you can have a brand new car. And let me tell you something about these VinFast cars. They ain't terrible looking. They ain't that. Look, man, I got to tell you, that's a chick car. That's a whatever car. I don't know about that. These things look kind of cool. I would run around town in a VinFast. Here, let me show them to you. I'm going to show you what the VinFast looks like. For $10,000, seats 5 people. They're little SUVs. They look like little SUVs, little SUV cars. Oh, there it is. Look at it. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully this will be a good picture. Here it is. $10,000. This is fudge. All right. This could be the electric car that does it. Look at that. That's a $10,000 fully electric SUV, seats 5. $10,000. Now, what do I foresee happening? Oh, this company being driven into bankruptcy. That's absolutely what I see. This is a revolutionary concept. They've got a $5 billion factory going up there in North Carolina. They want to crank out 22,000 of these, I think was the number. 22,000 of these a year. That means, in 5 years at that price point, 10,000. Do you know how many people are going to be driving these? $10,000 for a brand new car that's under warranty with all new everything that's dependable. You don't have to worry about, used car bullshit. Now, here's something that we know here on the Rant. If you listen every day, this isn't going to be dependendable because it's first generation, and we don't accept first generation products here on the show. At least I don't. But it doesn't matter. You got to be first generation somewhere. So, okay, so maybe in 10 years I'll get one of these, and maybe at that point they'll be $15,000. But to have that price point on a brand new vehicle that is electric, people will buy that. People will take a chance on an electric vehicle if it costs 10 grand. VinFast, Vietnamese company. There's some problem though. What is the problem? Hold on. Let me see. Was there an issue with this? What was the issue? Oh, India too. That's it. They're having problems in India. They're like they're poised to dominate India, and apparently there's some problem in India. I don't know. What does it say about this? Here we go. Vietnamese automaker VinFast, for a short time, the third most valuable car company in the world. I've never heard of them. They were has a big problem. It just can't sell enough cars. That's what they're saying. Idle factories are bleeding money, and the company's financial health is at stake. After finding U.S. market a tough nut to crack, they're in the process of building their first $5 billion. Hold on, I want to jump forward. They have the orders for the cars, but they can't build them. They can't sell what they can't build. So that's kind of a good position to be in, right? VinFast was dreaming big of breaking into the big leagues of global automakers when it launched its U.S. assault last year. Blah, blah. Hold on. Let me, what are the details? I'm looking for the specs on this thing. Oh, Jesus, they are. It's 3.1 meters long. Meters. I have no idea what that is. 1.6 meters high. Oh, here you go. It's 10 feet long, 5.2 inches wide. So it's 10 feet long, 5'2" wide, and high. So it's a box. So 5'2" wide and 5'2" high. It can squeeze into narrow lanes, but still seats 5 people comfortably. Trying to sell 2,000 of these. Anyway, there you go. A $10,000 electric car. It'll never hit the American market. They're going to build that $5 billion factory there in North Carolina, but something's going to happen. You'll see. Something about this car they're going to Tucker it. You ever seen the movie Tucker? Tucker was a guy who built a car in like the 1950s, and it was like the best car ever made. It had everything that cars in future generations would have. Tucker built a car in 1940 that had airbags and power windows and power brakes and all that kind of stuff. OnStar. Tucker built a car in 1950 that had OnStar, Bluetooth accessible. Anyway, my point is this. His car was so far ahead that the major car makers decided to crush him and run him out of business, even though he was producing something that was less expensive than the big automakers were, and more dependable and better and cooler, and people would have wanted it. The Tucker, even though all of those things, they said, we can't compete with him. Let's crush him. And that is exactly the same kind of thing that is going to happen if you start to offer a $10,000 electric vehicle. You start selling a $10,000 electric vehicle and Ford, GM, all these people are going to be like, all right, let's do some dark ops. Let's do some dark corporate ops. Let's see how many politicians we can buy. Maybe we can get ourselves a politician in North Carolina who will get their factory condemned or something like that. And that's the kind of shit that goes on. $10,000 electric car. Everybody would have I'm telling you, within 5 years, everybody would have an electric car. If it was a 10,000, even if it was just like a throwaway. Yeah, it's not my primary car, but it's, it's fun to get around. Everybody would have them. It would normalize it. We'd start to have charging stations. I don't even know that I want an electric car. I almost got hit by an electric car a couple weeks ago. I don't think I told you guys this. I was walking the dog. You can't really hear them. They're really quiet. And I had headphones on, but I had one ear out. I don't know. I almost stepped in there. Little electric car comes by. I'm like, man, that thing almost killed me. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay. Let's talk about the Hawk Tuah girl. Hawk Tuah girl is not going away, everybody. Her name is Haley Welsh. She is an adorable, I don't know, what is she, 24? Something like that. Haley Welsh, she's the Hawk Tuah. You got a hot tea, spit on that thing. She's adorable. Everybody loves her. She's a meme, whatever. Big news in the Hawk Tuah girl. And I'm going to give you the big news in the world of Hawk Tuah. But here's something I want to do. I want to show you this. Have you guys seen this? Have you seen the entire interview? This is, I mean, we've all seen at this point the viral clip of the blonde girl at the bar who seems to have had a couple of drinks. She's got great energy. She's in a good mood. She's smiling. She seems nice and friendly, playful. Right? We've all seen it where she goes, you got a hot dude, spit on that thing. You know, we've all seen that little clip. But what about the rest of it? Like, have you seen, like, what is the context there? What was the question? What is she like? Would you be surprised to learn that she wasn't even the focus of the conversation? That she wasn't even the prime person being interviewed? Her friend was. It was her friend who was like really kind of vibing with the interviewer. They were exchanging phone numbers. Hawk Tuah girl is just her friend who was like, come on, we got to go. Let's go. Like she was trying to go. So we're going to see all that. We're going to see that, and it just gives you more perspective on who Hawk Tuah girl is. And maybe after you see this, after you see the way she is, the way she behaves, the energy, the vibe, all that stuff, when you see this, you'll understand why the most powerful talent agency in Hollywood signed her to a deal yesterday. Okay. So here you go. This is unedited Hawk Tuah girl. Turns power. Nope, hold on. Not that one. Nope, sorry. I want to make sure I get the right video. I want to make sure we show the full video. Okay. I think it's about 2 minutes, but I don't know if you find her as enjoyable as I do. All right, hold on. If you find her as enjoyable as I do, you might like this whole thing. All right, so I got to go from TikTok. I don't use a lot of TikTok videos. All right. Here we go. And all right, here you go. This is going to be the full Hawk Tuah interview, and then I'll tell you about what's happening in her life since this.
Get drunk, like we're doing right now.
Y'all get over a breakup right now?
The only way to get over one is get under another. Amen.
So you got a side piece.
Maybe I got 3. Maybe I got 7.
How many's on your roster?
There's only one I want, but till he's serious, I'm a boy.
So how many you got on your roster right now?
Maybe 4.
One. She said 1.
Maybe 4. How many you got on your roster?
None.
Trying to add one to it?
Add one?
Yeah, you trying to add
Is
one
that
more
you?
to it? Yeah, that's me.
Maybe, I don't know.
So I can get your number?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. There you go.
You got it.
There you go.
It's all right. I got one more. I got one more for you.
Questions. Like, you gotta make it good.
Leave a message to your last body.
My life.
See, she's into it. She's into flirting with this guy. And if you look at Hawk Tuah girl's friends, there's another group of girls that they're friends with. They're about like 15 yards away. And she's she's telling them to wait, hold on. Like the Hawk Tuah girl doesn't exactly want to be doing this. This girl's got a little thing for the interviewer.
My last body.
Yeah.
I miss you. Come back.
You miss him.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're doing his little thing.
Yeah.
What's your type?
Like me. Like me, but a boy version, pretty much.
Explain.
I can. Go
That
ahead.
guy's calling her now.
You. Leave a message to your last body.
I love you, Pookie, forever.
They must have been doing the right thing.
What can I say?
Okay.
Make the cobwebs off this thing.
Are you posting this, bro? I'm waiting. Come on. She'll be back. Like, I don't know how to answer those.
Can I ask those?
Like, my type, I don't have a type.
You you know
Really?
what? Do you know what makes you wifey material?
Me, wifey?
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Explain. What's everything?
I'm loyal. This is my wife. What makes me wifey material?
What makes her wifey material?
That fat you got.
For real, turn around. Let me see.
You fucking lying.
No, she got a bubble butt. Go ahead, give us
No, man.
Can we have a 360? Can you give us a 360?
It's flat
Girl.
Flat
Come on, you gotta get a spicy one.
You want a spicy one?
Yeah.
What's one move in bed that make a man go crazy every time?
One what?
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time? That you do.
That I do.
Yeah. That makes a man go crazy every time.
Does not reply.
In bed, Haley.
Oh.
This is for her.
What?
You gotta answer this. You got it.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh,
that
you
do?
gotta give him that huck to and spit on that thing. You get me?
You gotta demonstrate.
Huck to and spit
No,
on
like-
it. Spit on it. If I see you
All right,
before
any
you
more?
raise, I'm gonna cry.
Oh yeah.
Anymore?
Okay, I got another one for y'all.
Okay.
Would you rather have back shots for the rest of your life or missionary for the rest of your life? You can only choose one.
Back shots.
Back shots? Why back shots?
Because I don't like somebody looking at me in my face, you know?
You don't like that eye
I don't-
contact?
I
'Cause
don't like
it's a little
that.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's a
I'm
little
not
bit
a
too
pillow
intimate.
princess.
A little bit
You
too
get me?
intimate. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
What
I'm
about
not a
you?
pillow princess.
Wait, you gotta repeat. I'm sorry. I'm really focused.
Back shots or missionary for the rest of your life? You can only choose one.
That's hard. Hold on.
That's what she said.
Okay, wrap it up. Okay.
Tim and DTV.
All right.
You said we better post that?
Yes.
Okay.
Post it for real.
All right, see, look, she can't wait to get away. The other one, the friend, is still flirting with the interviewer. And, Hawk Tuah girl, she's already back with the other chick. She's like, yeah, come on, we want to go now. They are not thinking that what just happened would change their life. Well, change one of their lives. This one right here. Hawk Tuah girl is the only one whose life has been changed. But it has been changed remarkably. First of all, smart-ass chick. She got right away, within a day of this thing taking off. She had the whole Hawk Tuah, domain and all of that stuff taken care of. She's selling hats. She's going public on Instagram, selling Hawk Tuah 2024 hats. She's funny, man. She's funny, and she has struck a nerve with the American people. She is like our little mascot for the summer. She is the Hawk Tuah girl now. Hollywood's in a whole new phase of what they think is famous and what they think sells and what they're willing to put their money behind. And I don't know what she is. She's not an influencer. Like, we've seen influencers jump to mainstream entertainment business things. But those are people who began as influencers with the intent to be famous. This is just a girl who was out having a good time on a Saturday night with her friends, and somebody interviewed her, and that went viral. This is not by her own means. We don't know. But she has jumped right onto it. She's got those Hawk Tuah hats. It's making money. Yesterday, she signed a deal with UTA. United Talent Agency, which is like, I don't know, George Clooney's agency. Meryl Streep's agency, a big one. And that's interesting because I noticed that it was interesting. For me, I note it as interesting because this has happened before. Like, we've had media celebrities. I used to call them media creatures. We've had, people go viral and suddenly there's money to be made off of them. And so all of a sudden, they sign with an agent, but it's always some low level agent who's like, yeah, she signed with an agent. Oh, what did he do? Oh, he had the Tanya Harding sex tape. He was that guy. Oh, that's the agent she signed. He signed with an agent. Oh, who's one of his clients? Biggest Loser season 2. My point is this. It's typically not UTA, United Talent Agency. Somebody at UTA, somebody in their agency, somebody in their department, they looked at this girl and they went, I think we can make some, and that's what agents in Hollywood do. I told you I just burned through the whole thing about Entourage, the whole season, the whole series of Entourage. Finished that up last night. And in Entourage, I mean, it's mentioned throughout the whole 8 seasons of the series about how Vinny Chase got discovered. Vinny Chase got discovered because Ari was laying on his couch and saw a Mentos commercial. And Vinny Chase was in the Mentos commercial, and just for like a really quick second. But Ari, as a manager, he kept saying, I remember that. I just saw you for a split second in a Mentos commercial. And I said, I got to sign that guy. He's going to be a star. Somebody did the same thing at UTA. Somebody at UTA saw this girl go viral, saw the response that she got from people. Nobody's calling her a slut or a whore. You know, it never got ugly. Nothing about her seems to be overtly sexual, and yet the content is naughty. You know, it's almost it's this very there's a very wholesome kind of thing going on there, while at the same time being decidedly pornographic. The content is pornographic, but there's also this like real. So anyway, here's the story. Power agent signs woman who went mega viral for Hawk Tua. Let's see. Where's it? Haley Welch, better known as the Hawk Tua girl, has signed with the Hollywood talent agency UTA, following going viral for offering some love advice on the streets of Nashville. Let's see. It was first reported UTA signed the Hawk Tua girl, who was quickly identified as Haley Welch. The young lady went viral after giving a street interview to Tim and D TV. Tim and D TV. Isn't that crazy? They should be the ones that's cashing in. You know, they're the ones who created the viral video. They put the viral out. It's their account. They got all the hits and all that stuff. Ain't nobody coming for Tim and D. Nope. The girl is who they want. They don't care about Tim and D. That's where it aired. It was a question. Tim and D TV. I don't know what that is. When asked for something that makes men go crazy in bed, she said, you got to spit on that Hawk to a blah, blah, blah. We all know what it is. All right, let's find out about this agent. The footage has been endlessly clipped and memed and social media platforms like X and TikTok. Page 6 cited an insider when also reporting that literary agent Beard Level is handling Welch as a client. Level also represented former President Donald Trump. Donald Trump's literary agent has signed her to a reported deal. Ah, yes. The Diary of Hawk Tua Girl. Can't wait for that. What the fuck? She got a book in her? What? Sex book. Hawk Tua sex tips. That's, you got to do it. She's got to lean into the sex. She's got to be a sex expert now. How did she come to be famous? She came to be famous by offering advice on how to keep a man happy in bed. She became immensely famous for other reasons, because she's cute and the energy was good and it was funny and it sounds, she's got that accent. Like if she didn't have that accent, if she was like from Iowa or something, nobody would have noticed. But it's just because she's got that extreme American accent. Extreme Southern American accent. Let's see here. Haley Welch is her name. Haley Welch has already started capitalizing on her fame by entering a deal with Fathead. Fathead. You know the decal people? She's already got a deal with Fathead, which is now selling Hawk Tua themed merchandise. She's also selling signed Hawk Tua hats for $43. You can get Hawk Tua girl to sign your hat. That's incredible. It ain't gonna last, I don't think. I mean, what are the odds that she becomes Jennifer Lawrence? You know what I mean? What are the odds that she has any talent whatsoever? But what if she does? What if she's just like, well, you know what? As fate would have it, you know, I am a theater student, and I mean, who knows? Here's what I see. Here's what I see UTA looking at her for. They're like, oh my God, there's going to be money to be. She can endorse things now. She's the Hawk Tua girl. She's already endorsed spitting on it. You know, now you. Anyway, in this new, developing, emerging digital commercial world, there are any number of opportunities for somebody as high profile, suddenly as high profile, who resonates with the youth market the way Hawk Tua girl does. So that's why she got signed. And go ahead, you can be a hater if you want. I think I'm going to be done with her though in a few days. I don't think I think like the fascination, the interest in her is going to be like short-lived because I'm already kind of like moving on. I'm interested in her friend. I want to know what's up with her friend. Who's the friend? Who's the non-Hawk Tua? Who's Hawk Tua Tua? Who's that one? Hawk Tua 2. And I wanted to like, I don't know. Is she 24? Is it 24? Is that what it says? I don't know. Cause I want to make sure that she's a grown up before I feel like I wouldn't feel like if it turns out she's 17, she's not, we'd know that by now, but she's obviously a grown up. How grown up? I don't know. Shifty Shell Shock of Crazy Town. Come my lady, come my lady. He's dead. He died in his home, drug addict, overdose, something like that. That's what it looks like. Shifty Shell Shock from the early 2000s band Crazy Town. They had that song Butterfly, massive hit. I think it was a number 1, and I think that's all they ever had. They're one hit wonder. Come my lady, come my lady, be a butterfly. Why are you? Oh my God, she's licking. Hey guys, is it supposed to rain? Doesn't it look like it's going to rain here? Sorry, I'm looking out the window. Hold on. Sorry. I just got distracted by a text message that's like 2 hours old. Jameson says the TMZ is reporting that Hawk Tua did not actually sign with UTA, just a rumor. Really? Okay, hold on. Let me cite my source on this. It would truly be, I mean, look, thank you for that information, Jameson. That very well may be true. This is not a, well, mine says, no, let's check my source. Let's see who, my source is Mediaite. So I don't know. I guess we got to decide who's got more credibility, Mediaite or TMZ. Although I would say it was interesting. The reason it's interesting is because you wouldn't think that UTA would sign someone like this. That's why it's like, oh, I'm going to do the story. That's odd. So now Jameson's telling me the TMZ is telling me, yeah, you know why it's odd? Because it's not happening. Because that's not something that happens. And maybe that's true. I don't care. She's having fun summer money. She's just ridiculously cashing checks, probably Venmo, probably going straight to her Venmo because she's 24. All of a sudden, she's got thousands and thousands of dollars. Let's go on a girls' trip. And she's 24, and they're like, we can't afford it. We're not all Hawk Tua girls. And she's like, I'll spend my money on you. Girls' trip. They're in Nashville. Where would they go on a girls' trip? Let's go on a girls' trip to St. Louis. I don't know where you go if you're in Nashville on a girls' trip. Hey, here's an interesting thing. It is Pride Month. I'm not very prideful. I mean, in generally speaking, I'm not very prideful. I like to think that I have humility. I like to think, I'm humble. Certainly not prideful. But it's Pride Month and Pride. But yesterday we did every day we're gonna do a little Pride story because the man demands it. No, that's not true. But yesterday we did a Pride story where I ranted about how they took rainbows. Like the gay community has absconded with rainbows. That doesn't mean that nobody else can use rainbows, but it does mean that when you have a rainbow, people are going to think that it represents. All I'm saying is rainbows are now owned by the gay community, and that's fine. That's fine. Nobody owns rainbows. But can't the same be said for the word pride? Like, isn't it pride now? Like pride, like if you have pride, like I have pride. Oh, are you? Did they steal the word pride too? I don't think I should say. I think when I say they stole the word pride or they stole rainbow, that's a bit unnecessary. It's a bit accusatory. Steal. Let's just say they reformulated it. They just reformulated the words. Anyway, let's talk about Pride. It is Pride Month. And this is an interesting story that I didn't realize. The Rangers are the only team in Major League Baseball that does not have a Pride Month or a Pride Night. The Texas Rangers, world champion Texas Rangers. And I say the world champion Texas Rangers because apparently that's kind of becoming a problem this year. The Rangers have never done a Pride Night, and that was never a problem for Major League Baseball when the Rangers sucked. But now that the Rangers are the reigning World Series champion, Major League Baseball in New York is getting all kinds of headaches. Rangers are a bit more high profile. Yes, I know. Years past, there have been this I've heard this conversation. Probably had this conversation before. Rangers don't do a Pride Night. Oh, let's clutch our pearls and stop it. So they don't. Texas Rangers, the world champion Texas Rangers, are the only team in Major League Baseball who doesn't do a Pride Night. Houston does. Yeah, so you can't say it's a Texas thing because Houston does. Houston's been doing it for years. They don't seem to have a problem with Pride Night down in Houston. Dallas, we can't handle it, I guess. I guess we're the ones that can't handle it. Now, this is a twofold question or a twofold issue here with Pride Night. And I want to tell you that I understand the resistance to it. I understand the people who are like, God, why we got to have a Pride Night? All Pride Nights are and how they started out. And by the way, they started out in Chicago. Guess where the original Pride Night was? That's right, of course, Chicago Cubs. Wrigley Field did the first giant Pride Night thing. Major League Baseball saw what a success it was and how it was opening doors to a community that baseball hadn't courted before. And now every team in Major League Baseball has a Pride Night. That's a gay night. That's, come on, everybody be gay at the ball game. Don't know how that works, but, probably better music, maybe less greasy food, maybe less carby food is available. I don't know. I don't really know what I don't know what the difference between gay baseball night and regular baseball night is, but Texas Rangers, they don't participate. This is a complicated issue. Okay, so first and foremost, let's pretend I'm just learning this now. Here's my reaction to it. Hey man, did you hear that the Texas Rangers are the only team that doesn't have a Pride Night? So here's my reaction. My reaction to that would be this. Yeah, really? Well, that's it. That's the extent of my reaction. That's how much I care about it. It's like, oh, geez, really? What are the reasons behind Texas Rangers being the only team not to have a Pride Night? I don't care. Whatever the reasons are, it doesn't matter to me. Is it kind of embarrassing? It is. It suggests that the Texas Rangers don't support inclusion and all that, which I'm certain that they do, to whatever extent billionaires who run professional sports teams can. I'm sure that they do. But here's where I think it's interesting. It's not just awful that the Texas Rangers are the only team that does this, and you might see it as awful. And again, I don't rise to the level of awful because to me it's just okay. They're just being dicks about it. Here's the problem though with this stuff. Why are they being forced? Why at some point now is it bad that they aren't doing it? There is this feeling among a great many Americans, and at times I am one of them. There is a feeling that shit is not just now being included in everyday society, which is fine. That's what's called evolution. We change as a society. We accept things as normal that maybe 30 years earlier were not normal. So we change and we evolve as society. Nothing's going to stop us from doing that. Nothing, you know how I know nothing is going to stop us from continuing to evolve as a society? Here's how I know. Because nothing ever has. This is not like, we're not the first generation of humans, right? We've changed the way it always happens. It's going to happen anyway. But there is this feeling, this overriding specter that someone's forcing us to do shit. That shit's being forced on us. And I think any independent thinker, any sort of, autonomous being who likes to, react and face the world on their own accord with their own thoughts, you might be a bit resentful of the idea that someone is telling you, you've got to have a Pride Night because every team in baseball has a Pride Night. I can understand that resentment. I don't also have that resentment. Like, my response to this situation isn't to feel resentful about that, but you have to, on some level, understand why people do feel that way. People feel that way. So that's what's going on. Just because you're like, I don't want there to be a gay night at Ranger games, that doesn't mean that you hate gay people. It just means that the average American is a little bit tired of being told what they must do. What is the new normals? Let people discover and adapt to new normals in the evolution of culture. Let people experience that at their own pace, the way they always did. The big ones will always get the governmental help. The Civil Rights Acts. We'll always have those things. We just it's the anniversary of the Supreme Court saying gay people can get married. So the really big important stuff has and will continue to be, duly fleshed out by our governments. These small social issues, don't force us. My God. You could look at my lifetime. In my lifetime, I'm born Generation X. Do you know how demonized gay people were in my mind when I was 10 years old? Everywhere. And I'm not talking about my family. My family didn't do this. It's not like before bed, I'm going to tell you about how gays are bad. It wasn't that. It was just the general world around us. As a kid growing up, you look at that fag. It was all negative. It was all bad. There was nothing worse that any man could be when I was 10 years old than homosexual. That was when I was 10 years old. I'm now in my 50s. And you know what? I don't give a second thought to a homosexual. That's how much life has changed in 40 years. And it changed quicker than that. Ellen was run off ABC TV in 1998 because it was believed that the American people would not accept a gay woman on television. ABC cut Ellen loose. Ellen then, 2 years later, went on to do the most watched daytime television talk show in history. Ellen had a larger audience than anyone in the history of that medium. And she was a gay woman who ABC just 4 years earlier was like, Americans can't handle that. Yeah, they can. And not only can they handle it, but they can handle it in the middle of the day. That's where they like their lesbian Ellen. So people change. The world changes. But this idea that we're now going to demonize the Texas Rangers because they're the only team that doesn't do that, stop it. Walk away from it. Ignore it. If you're a Ranger fan and it's a particular point of contention for you, it bothers you, write the team. That's what you do. But every Ranger fan and anybody goes to a Ranger game isn't a homophobe. There is, and I also, not also, I shouldn't say also. It is really, it bugs me. It bugs me. I'm a pretty easygoing guy and I can flesh out bullshit when the narrative is being shifted into bullshit and we're being programmed something to believe. Like that's the other thing. These gay nights, these pride nights at these baseball games, that's just programming. We're being programmed through these constant things. Sorry about that. That is. Programming isn't always evil. Sometimes programming, the design of programming, the intent of programming a population isn't evil. Sometimes it's for the greater good. But also, you can't blame people for being resentful of the fact that they feel like they're being preached to and forced to recognize something that maybe in their personal universe, they're just not ready to recognize yet. But they will. They will. Holy crap, my grandpa in his lifetime probably could never imagine living next door to a black person. Probably when my grandpa in 1930, when he was growing up, he's like, well, I can tell you the one thing. I'm 15. It's 1930. I can tell you this. I will never live next to a black person because that's not how the world is. My grandpa lived in an integrated neighborhood. At the end of his life, it was no big deal. His next door neighbor was a black guy. Things change. People come around. The world is different. Stop forcing people. The endless moral preaching of I'm better than you, and that's why I accept that there should be just forget it. The Rangers don't have a pride. They will. They will soon. You know it. It'll happen. But no, all Ranger fans and the Rangers themselves and the organization, they're not homophobes. And anybody who is, I don't want there to be a pride night. They're not a homophobe either necessarily. Oh, they very well might be because those people are out there. But man, there is something to this constantly. I think that half the people in MAGA, seriously, I've learned this. I'm not going to say half because I can't do that. But there are people who are MAGA, who are my friends, who are wonderful people. They really are. They are good people. So why do they have these extreme views that a great many other people find to be so marginal? Well, they're an extremist. They're in MAGA. No, they're not. They're just tired. They're just tired of the bullshit. They're tired of some 16-year-old girl with pink and lavender hair preaching to them about what monsters they were when they were 15. Come on, man. That's all it is. People are tired. Now, there are also a bunch of evil people in this world, but I think you just got to be a bit more. Let me see here. Adam says, I have many LGBTQ plus Ranger fan friends, and they will constantly shout down people who try to demonize Ranger fans overall. We're all different. Yeah, of course they're all different. You know what? You know who else are all different? Hershey chocolate bar fans. Fans of Hershey chocolate bars are so mad. Sometimes they're mass murderers. Sometimes they're UN Secretary General. Yeah, of course, we're all different. We're all different people. We love to operate with absolutism. Somebody's either absolutely the worst and absolutely a god, right? I mean, most people, that's how most people see our choices for president, which is such an unhealthy way. It's not only unhealthy, but it's counter-intellectual. To look at, we got Biden and we got Trump. There are a great many of us, I fear the majority of us, who look at Biden and Trump through an absolutist lens. Trump is a god. In fact, he was sent by Jesus. He is like the absolute perfect human being. I would do whatever he says. Biden's a monster. He's actually a lizard in human skin from another planet. See what I mean about the extremes? Then you have people on the Biden side. Trump is worse than Hitler. Trump is worse than Hitler, Stalin, and Pol Pot combined. He is an absolute monster. He's the worst human that has ever lived. Come on, it's not true. It's just not true. Trump might be a D-bag. He might be a criminal and a con man. But he's not worse than Hitler. At least, he hadn't done anything to make him worse than Hitler. And Biden's not evil. Biden seems like a nice man. My problem with Biden is that he seems not up for the job. Okay, not up for the job. I don't think Trump is up for the job either. I look at Trump. My problem with Trump, he's not up for the job. For the same and slightly different reasons that I don't think Biden is up for the job. But we got to stop with this absolutism. Trump ain't Jesus. Biden ain't the devil. Biden ain't John F. Kennedy and John Wayne all rolled into one, and Trump isn't Jeffrey Dahmer and Pol Pot. Absolutism. It's easy for us. It is easy for us to just be able to go in the extreme direction. I either love, you eat a pizza. Do you love that pizza or you hate that? I fucking hate this pizza. You know why? Because nuance is difficult and it takes more time. And it's, that's how we are. That's how we look at the world. Shortcuts. Absolutism. Hallmark is making a movie. Check this out. So we were talking about rom-coms. It was, is today the day that, today is the day that Nora Ephron died. She's the queen of the rom-com. I like the rom-coms. Nora Ephron died on this day. And Hallmark, the Hallmark movie channel. This is how important Nora Ephron was. Hallmark movie channel is just nothing but rom-coms. That's all it is. It's just rom-coms. I think they have some family stuff too, right? Like there is some nice, wholesome family stuff. But for the most part, the movies that really click and connect and become, Hallmark classics, those are all rom-coms. Those are all cheap, mass-produced, D-list rom-coms. However, the Hallmark Channel is making a new rom-com. What is this one? Hallmark Media. It's a movie about the Kansas City Chiefs. Hallmark and the Kansas City Chiefs have teamed up. And why wouldn't they? The Kansas City Chiefs are on a budding dynasty. They win next year. They're a dynasty. The Chiefs are like the hottest team in the NFL. The NFL is the hottest league in all of America. And right now, there's that added thing where people who just happen to watch Hallmark are very familiar with the Kansas City Chiefs because of Taylor Swift. That's right. big crossover with Taylor Swift fans and people who watch Hallmark movies. Huge crossover. So Hallmark, and by the way, I didn't realize this. Do you know Hallmark? Hallmark, the company, Hallmark, started out as greeting cards. Now they make movies and greeting cards. Hallmark is a Kansas City company. I didn't know that. Hallmark is Kansas City based. So Hallmark and the Kansas City Chiefs have teamed up. What is this? Who's it going to star? It's going to star Tyler Hines. I don't know who Tyler Hines is. Hunter King. No idea who that is. And Ed Begley Jr. There we go. I like Begley. Tyler Hines, Hunter King, and Ed Begley Jr. star in a movie set to premiere on Hallmark Channel during the 15th annual Countdown to Christmas programming event. Oh, it's going to be one of the big Hallmark Christmas movies. Ooh. Are you ready for some football? It's game time on Hallmark Channel this holiday season when two renowned Kansas City institutions, the Kansas City Chiefs and Hallmark, see, right there, right out of the box. Like, are we supposed to know Hallmark was from Kansas City? I didn't know that. When two renowned Kansas City institutions, the Kansas City Chiefs and Hallmark, team up with the NFL and Skydance Sports for a holiday movie and partnership that will have audiences everywhere cheering touchdown. I can't. I just can't. It's just not. What's the movie about? Let's see. In Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. That's what it's called. I'll watch this shit. I will totally watch this shit. Man, you know one of my favorite stupid bet? Actually, I don't know if this was a Hallmark movie. This might have been a Lifetime movie. Lifetime movies are different than Hallmark movies, although kind of the same, but different. I got to be honest. I'm more of a Lifetime guy. I like the Lifetime movies. The best Lifetime movie I ever saw was, did you ever see the Lifetime movie about Prince William and Kate, how they met and how they went through, they go to Africa. Like when they first met, Prince William and Kate, when they first met, they go to Africa and there's like a scene with lions where they go, he's like trying to woo her. And he's like, yeah, so apparently someday I might actually own all, like he's kind of bragging, but being like kind of humble about it, like trying to be funny about it. Like, can you believe they would give this to one single person? And then he's with Kate. This is a Lifetime movie. He's with Kate. And then like a lion shows up and like the lion doesn't eat him. But they have like this moment with the lion where they like try and make us think that the lion is actually the reincarnation of Lady Di. And she's giving her, oh my God, Lifetime and Hallmark movies are the best. They're so bad. They're so cheesy. They're so fun. Anyway, that's my favorite one. My favorite Lifetime movie. Nah, there's another one. Should I do that? Maybe I should start reviewing Lifetime movies. Maybe that's my niche on YouTube. Just a middle-aged man bringing my sensibilities to what I see in the Lifetime movie. In Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story, Alana Hyman is sure that her family's lifelong history as Kansas City Chiefs superfans makes them a frontrunner to win the team's annual Fan of the Year contest. Derek, director of fan engagement for the Chiefs, is tasked with evaluating how Alana and her family stack up against the other two finalists. And the fun ensues. That's it. I bet they fall in love because that's what happens. There you have it. New Hallmark movie. Hallmark and the Chiefs. And the reason that this is notable is because the NFL has never done this before. The NFL has never like opened up a team and the NFL and the league. So it's a partnership between both. So there's going to be a lot of, NFL stuff. Anyway, let's see. What else do we have here? Let's talk about this. Matthew Perry. Remember him? Friends, Chandler Bing. He died last year or maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. The calendar pages flip by so quickly now. Anyway, Matthew Perry, he died. And it turns out, look, again, Matthew Perry, he battled addiction. He was doing so well and he's been sober for 10 years and he wrote books about being sober. None of it was true. We know it all now. He was a junkie the whole time. He just learned how to manage it and cover it up. And then he decided to cash in. He was like, well, people want to think I beat this. Wow, they'll give me all of that. You're so brave. For decades, you're so brave, Matthew. You're so strong to have gone through what you, I know. It's just, I didn't think it was in me. That was the bullshit that this son of a bitch lapped up for years. Turns out he was just a junkie, doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, just keeping it out. You know what he did? He got old. He stopped going to clubs. He stopped going to clubs and falling down steps at 3 o'clock in the morning in front of TMZ cameras. So all of a sudden we went, he must be sober now. No, he just stayed home. He just stayed home, did all kinds of drugs, and died in his hot tub. Hot tub's hot. Hot tubs, hot. I didn't realize it was 3:14. I gotta go. That's it. We're done. Matthew Perry, Brooke Mueller, who was Brooke Mueller was married to Charlie Sheen, right? Brooke Mueller, who was married to Charlie Sheen, she is being investigated by police. They think that she may have had something to do. So keep tabs on that. ... Guys, I can't believe it's 3:15. I just got totally lost in doing this show. I just looked. I got a phone call from. I'm supposed to do something at 3:30. I gotta go. I am so sorry. Thank you for joining the rant today. That's it. That was literally the last story anyway. Oh yeah, I gotta do this real quick. What an abrupt end to today's show. Jimmy Smells says the players throw like girls on Pride Night. See, that's funny. That's a joke. It hurts nobody. You can't say that joke. Why? That joke's funny. That's funny. Yes, it plays into a stereotype that we all know isn't true, but that's sort of what runs through humor. Most of the things that we laugh about in humor are things that aren't necessarily true, but we laugh at them anyway. Oh! All right. What do I got to tell you? I got nothing else to tell you. All right, guys, got to go. Love you. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. The rant happens every day. It's a rundown of all the day's hot topics, current events, whatever it is that people are talking about. I give it to you. It's talk radio, the way talk radio ought to be, non-political, non-divisive, just a narcissistic middle-aged man screaming into a camera for a couple of hours each and every day. I can't tell you how much I love you. Thank you again to our executive producer of today's show. He was the big tipper yesterday. That's Peter. Thank you, Peter. You're the best. If you want to help out the show, you yourself can be tomorrow's executive producer by just tipping. You can do that. All right, folks. Love you. We'll see you tomorrow. I got to run. I'm so sorry. I lost track of time. Bye.